Welcome to another episode of Dollar Dorks. This is episode 8. On this podcast, we aim to share video game buying and selling tips, give suggestions about games to watch for, provide tips on how to fund your collection with your collection, and hopefully change the perspective some people have of sellers in the video game collecting community. I have two guests as usual. Today my guests are Curtis Friesel of GirlfriendVS, the man who was so bad at Contra he had to accidentally delete the game footage.
That footage, I don't think ever even recorded, to be fair.
We'll go with that. And we also have Chris Roberts, garage sale and flea market deal finder, and from the Narc podcast.
And I also have a very poor internet connection.
Yeah, what's up with the internet in Fresno?
We ain't got time for internet. We're getting deals at the swap meet and yard sales.
Apparently.
It's time to upgrade, apparently.
Save money and put it into more games.
Right, that's one of my tips. Get a cheaper internet connection, buy more video games.
I just upgraded my internet. Why didn't you tell me that a couple weeks ago?
Behind the curve, man.
We're gonna start off as we always do on this podcast with your last noteworthy deal or pickup. And we have the order set. It is Chris first. What's the last thing you bought?
Well, the last thing I bought isn't as sexy. I bought a couple board games today, but technically the last thing I made a deal on, I'm picking up Saturday, and it is very cool.
Okay. Dive into whichever one you want.
I'm going to go with that one because the board games aren't. This is board games.
They look
cool on Twitter.
Yeah.
They are cool, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, I'm going down to SoCal. I'm gonna pick me up like a vintage Nintendo display cabinet.
Oh, that's what that was. I saw that you did that on Instagram, right?
I think I put it on Twitter. I didn't want to put it on Instagram because I'm afraid someone might recognize something and try to undercut me. I figured Twitter was pretty safe.
Where you're coming down to SoCal? You're going to be in my neck of the woods?
I actually am going to drive through your neck of the woods. I was going to talk to you about that. I'm not quite sure how the weather is going to be. If it's raining, I'm just going to go right through. It's supposed to be 80% chance over here, but I mean, maybe on the way. I got a time. Anyways, this isn't what he wants to hear on this podcast.
I don't mind, but.
I'm getting it for an excellent deal. I don't really want to disclose the price yet because I don't know if he wants me to disclose the price, but I will say it is less than a third of what it's worth, maybe even less than that. I noticed somebody, I know another hardcore collector. I kind of like worked my way through a group on Facebook and found a guy who actually has the exact same thing that I got, and he got it from the original supplier. I hope this story isn't getting too convoluted, but anyway, I know what he paid, and I know I didn't pay anything near that. And in this group, it's a kiosk group, throw down some serious cash. I was just like, wow, you guys are fucking the market. Oh, did we cuss on this podcast?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, yeah, they're fucking the market up because they are spending major coin on this stuff. So it's very cool. Light works. I do have to replace the World of Nintendo sign on the top because apparently whoever got it from the original retailers switched it out, probably used it as their own store type of thing and put supplies on it. I could post some Twitter pictures. Like I said, I just didn't want to jinx it. I know the guy's not going to back out on the deal, but I mean, if somebody offers them, quadruple what I'm paying, it might mess it up. So I got a little jinxy at the last minute. But anyways, that's my pickup. I can't wait to get it. And I'm driving like 500 miles to make it happen. So
this is something you're keeping. This is for your own collection.
Absolutely. And I'm funding it through crap that I've sold. So it all goes back to buying shit at yard sales and swap meets or flea markets if you're on the East Coast. That's what I do.
Can I ask how do you transport that thing?
In a pickup.
Oh, okay. And I mean,
people in Fresno.
Does it come with the glass in it?
Well, it doesn't have the original doors.
Okay.
Well, it doesn't have doors at all, which is it's not uncommon that the doors were missing.
Right.
Like the same guy, the original supplier who divvied these out to the public. Apparently he had 6 originally, and none of them had doors. So I don't know what happened to the doors. I don't know if it was the vendor he bought them from, took them out. I could probably replace them, but after looking at his game tour video without the doors, it kind of looked pretty cool. So I don't know. Yeah. I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. Either way, even in the condition it's worth or it's in, it's worth a lot. So
yeah, I could see not having the doors being a little more convenient. I mean, it won't keep dust off the games, but still.
I mean, really, the setup I have for my NES games doesn't have doors. Nothing I have. Well, yeah. I do have one cabinet with doors, but I mean, it does become a pain in the ass, really, and getting in and out. I don't know. I mean, it would be cool if I'll put it like this: if I had them, I wouldn't take them off.
Gotcha. Yeah, because it's more original, right?
So, right. I mean, I could go out and have somebody make me some plastic doors or glass doors and end up dumping more money into the doors than I paid for the whole thing. So I'm actually more concerned about replacing the sign. That's kind of my only goal.
Yeah. Right.
It worked. I'm really pumped up about that. And it's in fucking fantastic shape. I mean, they didn't sometimes, I mean, there was a Game Chaser video where Billy found a old KB Nintendo 64 cabinet. And they painted over them, you know, like sometimes a lot of people, because they didn't have no respect for them, they didn't care. They were just using them to put their, you know, jewelry in it or whatever they were selling. So thankfully, whoever had these, the worst thing he did was just put this sign on it that says supplies. And I don't know, my friend's trying to convince me to leave it. He said, "Oh, that looks cool." I was like, it looks janky, man. I'm getting rid of it.
If you were a fan of UHF, maybe you'd leave it.
Okay, maybe. I mean, I haven't seen that since I was like 14 or something, but maybe I'll see. Yeah. You're creating an argument for leaving it. I don't know. Maybe when I post a picture of it, everybody tells me how cool it looks, and I'll get convinced. But in the meantime, I'm actively hunting for a Nintendo. You know, the sad part is I'm gonna probably, if I get original sign, I'm gonna probably pay more for the sign than I'm paying for the damn cabinet.
Yeah.
So you found that on like a Facebook group?
I
guess it's you're not gonna undercut me, are you, Curtis?
No, I'm just curious, like how people find these things.
Yeah,
I will tell you how I found it. Okay, a little known channel a popular channel on YouTube. They bought one, and I text the man and said, "Hey, because the guy had 2 of them in the video," and I was like, "Dude, did he still have the other one?" He goes, "No, he already sold it." So I was like, "Man, you scored. Great job." And here was going to be one of my tips. Hesitate to compliment somebody about their score, because when they want to sell it, you're going to be the first person they think of. And that's exactly what happened.
Oh, apparently, so you got it from the person who
bought it.
Who bought it.
Yes.
Oh.
Cool. You know him. It's Ricky.
I was going to say, I was like, in SoCal, it's got to be someone.
Right. It's Ricky. Yeah. Right. Ricky bought one, and at the time I didn't have Ricky's number, but I had Aaron's number. So I text Aaron. I'm like, "Dude, you know, what's up with that?" And he goes, "Well, here, just text Ricky." And I'm like, "All right." So I hit Ricky up, and he's like, "Nah, he already sold the other one." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And so I just complimented. I just said, "Dude, it's really cool. I'm jealous. That's awesome. You know, congrats and all that." And fast forward about 1.5 years later, his kid's taking over his game room. And I'm sorry, Ricky, if you didn't want anybody to know all this information, but I don't know. Sorry.
He's going to be knocking down your door, Derek.
This isn't going to publish till after Saturday, correct?
Pause for edit, right? Yeah, this doesn't publish till 13.
Right? 13. Okay, so I'll have it by then. So at that point, I just have to apologize if he gets mad. I'll already have it, so I can't screw the deal up.
I hear this, it's fine.
I doubt he. Yeah, I mean, you never know. I don't know. You never know. He might be a low key Dollar Dork fan. You don't know.
I doubt it, but that's fine. Okay,
never know.
That sounds cool.
So that's my score.
I actually had a cabinet, not any brand thing, just a cheap, crappy, old cabinet, but it had doors on it that I kept my games in, and I found the doors to be more hassle than it was worth. I thought, oh, it'll keep the sun off them and it'll keep the dust off them. Great, it's a nice benefit, but I've switched now to an open one just because it's so much easier to get your games out, or to see what you have for that matter.
And it's not that hard to dust it.
Yeah. No, it's not that much dust.
I
My
don't
action
know.
figures get more dust.
All
than
my
the
games are. Yeah, it's. I mean, as far as like my NES games, every game I have is in a dust cover. So I mean,
Yeah. Yep. Cool.
Dust out, right? I mean, that'd be false advertisement.
All right. So next, moving on to me, I really don't have anything noteworthy for pickups. What I did have something here. Oh, I'm mentioning it later on because I had stuff I have to sell as well. I really should have planned that better. I moved them down and didn't look what else I had. But that's fine. It doesn't matter what I have. No one wants to hear what I have. You guys are the important ones. All right, moving on to Curtis. What about you? What's your last noteworthy deal or pickup?
Well, I got something today, and to be honest, this should not be considered a score. It's a crime that it is considered a score, because these things should be a lot easier to get, and that is the Super Nintendo Classic.
Okay, yes, I did see that. I thought you were going to say Nintendo Powers.
No, I wish. Nintendo Powers are hard to come by these days for a good price.
They shouldn't be. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, so I was out with my friend, and we were in Northridge, California, home of the famous earthquake. And we were driving back home, and we went by this Target, and I was like, because let me just give you some backstory. So I live in LA. You can never find these items in store. Anything that's sought after, you're like never going to find it until way later. And, like now finally we're seeing Switches in stores. Okay. It's taken this long, so I like never expected to see a Super Nintendo Classic in store, but we were just outside of like that bubble. I was like, maybe Northridge would have a Super Nintendo Classic. And so we pulled off and we went in, and I went to the electronics section, and I'm looking around, and I don't even see like a place in their cabinet for it. Like there's no price,
Yeah.
Because I'm looking for like, okay, $80. Where do they keep this thing? And I don't see it anywhere. I'm like, that's weird. They must have a place for it. So I was like, well, I'll just ask the guy. So I go up and I'm like, hey, do you guys have any Super Nintendo Classics? He's like, we have one left. And I don't know if that's like true or not. Maybe he was just saying that because that's what they're supposed to say to like curb the scalping.
Yeah.
But I was like, I will take it if I can get it. And he was like, sure. And so I, the big thing that I took away from this is patience is key. I was so determined that I was not going to pay more than retail for this thing. And that was the reason I never got an NES Classic, because I never found one for, retail. Yeah. But this one I got for retail, and I'm pumped. I'm looking at it right now. I haven't even opened it yet. I'm like still enjoying it in its pristine condition.
Like Joe, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that was a big pickup.
But you're reselling it, right?
Absolutely, for double the price. And I'm gonna get it, damn it.
Then you can buy two.
Yeah. But other than that, I guess the last cool thing is I'm trying to collect a whole Super Nintendo set, and I'm getting down to the nitty-gritty where I want to say about 50 left. So some of them are pretty easy, and I just haven't got them yet for one reason or another. But there's a handful, probably about 20 that I've left that are uncommon, rare, whatever you want to call it. And I recently was the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, and I was going to try and go this year, but I wasn't able to. So I called up. I'm going to give a shout out to the Q Dogs. I hit them up on the Twitters, and I said, hey, can you look out for some games for me at the convention? Because I'm never going to see these games outside of a convention. Yeah, most likely. So if you can pick up like even one of these games, that'd be awesome. And sure enough, they got me one of those games, and that was Metal Marines on the Super Nintendo.
Yeah, I have no idea what that is, but okay.
Exactly.
Oh, everybody knows that one.
Do you know that one, Chris? Do you have it?
No, I don't. But I do have Relief Pitcher.
Yeah, good for you. Whatever.
Right.
I passed on that because it had a crappy label. I'll find another one.
Metal Marines is a valuable, like, not a cheap one, I would say.
No, but actually, super props to Mighty Q Dog. I don't know if he haggled or what, but he gave me like an original price. He's like, would you pay this for it? And I was like, eh. And then he came back and he's like, what about this? And I was like, yeah, snag it for that.
Sounds like with that is that Melissa's brother does all their haggling for them.
Oh, is that what goes on?
Yeah, that's what they've said that a couple times.
That's what I was seeing in the videos.
Dude, Dude, haggled like a third off of this, third of the price
Chavez,
off of it.
right? They call him Mighty Chavez, or his name's Eric as well.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Hey, Curtis, you haven't learned the whole like just cheap and worry about upgrading later? Like that hasn't like got to you yet?
Every once in a while I do, but you know, with
You just
certain
buy it, man.
like
If it's
Relief
cheap.
Pitcher, I don't care. I got other game. See, but
Yeah, but now it's like 30
no,
bucks.
no, no, no. Hold on, hold on,
30,
hold on.
40 bucks.
Hold on. So sometimes you're in a position where you got, you know, 2 games you could get, but you only have enough money to get one. You pick, you know, they're both about the same rarity, but one of them looks crappier, one of them looks better. Which one are you going to get?
Well, that's a different scenario. But you know what I do
the scenario I was in
is
at the time. I remember
just buy them both. I just figure it out and I just buy them both.
I buy them both and sell something else.
I would hit somebody up. I'd be
But
like,
see, this
hold it. I'll be right back. I don't know.
This goes back to
Taking
my
some
original point. Patience is key. You will always be able to find it. Just be patient.
I'm too cheap to be patient. If I
I'm
find
very
a good deal, I buy it.
And that's how I got my
but I do.
Nintendo
I'm patient sometimes. Patient sometimes. There's some games where I've been like, I just can't find it. I don't want to search for it anymore. I'm sick of searching for it, and I'll just buy one.
You know what's funny too is with the whole Super Nintendo Classic, I'd been working myself up into this mindset because I hadn't been able to find it. I was like, I don't need that. That thing's stupid. I don't even want it anyway. I own all those games except for Star Fox 2. Like I can just play them whenever I want. I already own them. I don't need that stupid thing. I'm never gonna get that thing. And then I get it, and I'm looking at the back, and they got all the like titles of the games. I was like, I want to play every single one of these games tonight.
You already have them.
I know. I just bought all these. I basically bought this for Star Fox 2.
Your Star Fox 2 machine. That's fine.
Yeah.
Save states, so you should use it for everything.
Save states. Yeah, now I can finally beat Contra 3 because actually that's like the one game that I've always wanted to beat, but I haven't. And I'm going to totally use save states on that.
It's not going to count.
It counts to me.
A win is a win.
A win is a win is a win.
All right. Well, moving on to the next section, we got what are you selling? Now, Curtis, I don't think you really sell much, right? You don't really sell anything you have, or do you pick bulk lots and keep what you want and sell off the rest?
No, not really. I mean, there's been a couple times when I've gotten like lots, but it's very rare. And I guess when I do get lots, I've just sold off the rest. But I haven't done that in like a couple years now.
Okay, I was just curious because I that's the way I've always pictured it, basically, with you.
Yeah.
But still, it's great to hear what you are doing. Other than that, okay. So this is basically a section. Tell us something you're selling on eBay, could be Craigslist, something you want to trade, next swap or convention or anything like that. So starting with me, I've got still all the stuff that I have left from being a vendor at the Barrie Game Exchange. I have way too much stuff left over still. It's most of the good stuff is probably gone, I'd say. Just the little odds and ends and weird stuff. And I had some toys and things to sell there too. So I still need to post that stuff for sale on a local classified site, but it's a matter of getting time to do such a thing. But other than that, I did recently pick up and am selling Final Fantasy Life for 3DS. I picked up for $10. It's worth about 30. This is Canadian dollars. Free running on Wii. I picked up in the store actually for $5.64, and it's worth 20. I remember hearing that was a good game, I think, from NJ Retro. That was a good game to flip, I mean, because it's undervalued. And then Blitz the League 2 for PS3, which is, I hear, a very interesting game, but I keep forgetting to play it. I got it for $6.60 in a deal with 2 other games, and it's worth about $17. And I only picked it up because it was to do a buy 2, get one free, buy 2, get one free deal. So that's the only reason I did that. And it's all stuff that I'm planning to sell. I picked up just to sell. Get that money into my fund to buy more stuff for me. All right. And then next on the list is Curtis, but as we said, you don't really have anything yet.
Now hold on a sec.
Everything you're selling now is what I should say.
I actually, maybe I do, because you mentioned toys, and now maybe we can make a deal here on Dollar Dorks. Do you think that's possible?
Yeah, as long as you're making it with Chris.
That's who I'm going to try and make it with.
I'm not paying shipping from California, but maybe in Chicago.
So, Chris, maybe we can make a little deal because I don't do the eBays and stuff. But maybe you can help me out, and we can kind of mutually benefit from this deal.
Okay.
So you're open to the suggestion.
So you want me to sell it for you? That was the deal?
That's what I'm going for. Or maybe you could just buy it from me and sell it and do whatever you want. Whatever, doesn't matter. I just want to get rid of it. So I have.
What exactly?
Remember when?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna get.
I thought I missed that part. What is it?
No, you didn't miss it. So remember when Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull came out, and like they started producing like all these Indiana Jones action figures, like from all the movies, not just Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, but like Raiders and Temple of Doom and Last Crusade and stuff. I started like snagging up all these things, all these Indiana Jones toys, because I was a huge Indiana Jones fan. But I've never done anything with them. They've literally sat in my closet for like years, since what, 2008? And now I'm at the point where I'm like, I'm never going to do anything with these. But they're all still sealed in box. And I figure like someone out there must collect these. I don't know how much they're worth or anything, but
is it a complete set?
Yeah. I mean,
it's
that doesn't sound good.
It's very close on all of them. Like Raiders and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, it's almost complete sets. And then Temple and Last Crusade, I only have a couple because those were like the second release, and so they were a little bit harder to come by. But I got like River Phoenix's character and Indiana Jones and stuff like that.
well, I would say depending on their individual value, I would sell them individually on eBay. But
Right. But that's not something I do, so that's why I'm
No. I'm
with
just,
you.
Right. I'm just telling. Well,
And
okay,
since
we
you're going to
could
be in
figure out
town
value.
this weekend,
Yeah, if you got a box of crap, I could pick it up and
then just,
we could figure something out.
yeah, exactly.
Right, just pay value when it sells or something. Yeah, I take my standard 75% fee and. No.
Here, I was going to say that I did 30% for a coworker of mine.
Did you
I
really
wouldn't
do
care.
30%? That's pretty. That's pretty hefty.
She suggested it. She said, as far as I know, the standard rate for people who sell is 30 to 35%.
Is it? I
People
have
do
no
30.
idea.
She looked it up. I don't know. She's like, she looked it up on like
Oh.
sites that sell stuff for people on eBay.
Well, if the internet says it, it must be true.
Exactly. So, but I sold about $2,000 worth of stuff for her, so I got over.
Dang.
Oh, wow, that's
Wow,
cool.
when you're talking, that kind of money, yeah, 30% is pretty good. I'm thinking this, what is this lot going to sell for, like $100? I don't even know.
No, she had a lot of good stuff, and she took
I don't know. You never know. I mean, one of those figures could be worth $60-$70 by itself. It just depends on
It's true.
rarity or desire. Some stuff doesn't have to be rare to be worth some. I mean, you
Yeah.
know how that works. Contra is like
I do.
$45 game, and they made millions of them.
I know, ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's about the only thing that I can think of off the top of my head. I have been thinking about doing some purging lately, though. I think that's kind of, everyone is kind of going through a purge right now, it feels like.
Purging what?
Just certain game, like, because I don't have the luxury of having a game room, so I just have like boxes and boxes in my closet of video games. And now, don't get me wrong, there's still a lot of stuff I want to keep, but there's a lot of stuff that I sit and I think, am I ever really going to do anything with that?
Will you ever play it?
Am I ever going to play it? Like, I have a 64 and like a handful of games. I don't think I'm ever going to play that. I just have like no emotional connection to the 64. And I'm pretty sure that if like a Nintendo 64 classic comes out, I can just get that and I'll be set. Like that's going to be fine.
I hope it looks better too. That's my problem with the 64 is I don't want to mod one to make it look good.
Right.
There'll be no GoldenEye though.
You don't know that, man.
Yeah, the licensing. They're gonna have a
Yeah,
problem
but-
with that.
yeah, but you
Microsoft
say that,
isn't
you
gonna
say
get
that.
No,
that.
they'll just do
And it's
Perfect
like-
Dark and they'll call it a win.
But look at all these cool games that
Rare
you had on
too.
here. I mean, Contra 3, that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, but
Final
Konami,
It's not a
Fantasy.
Bond movie.
well,
It's not a Bond movie though. That's the
Mega
problem.
Man X.
and Rare is owned by Microsoft. How do you
Yeah.
see Microsoft?
Oh, yeah, because
wanting to help Nintendo?
Microsoft isn't going to take a deal right now to make some money. Like, they're not losing
I don't know. I mean,
right now.
I think it's probably
I'm just
whoever
keep-
owns the Bond license is the problem.
well, yeah, for 007, but I mean for Perfect Dark, I don't know.
For Perfect Dark.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna get either one of them.
I just don't.
You're probably not gonna get Banjo Kazooie or Banjo Tooie or.
I just don't see how you could do an N64 classic and not have some rare games, because it's not like there's so many hits on the 64 that are just.
Well, most of them were rare games. I mean,
exactly.
Donkey Kong Country is on the SNES Classic, though, right?
The first one, yeah.
No, but Donkey Kong 64.
Donkey Kong 64. You got Banjo Kazooie, Conker.
I just mean they did the
Conker.
Yeah.
You know.
Only time will tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm sure Chris wouldn't mind selling everything for you.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm done now. You can move on to Chris.
All right. All right, Chris, what do you got to sell?
It's actually been kind of a slow month because I had a lot of stuff I had to do this month, so I only have like 18 listings on eBay, which is remarkably low for me. But
give us an idea of what you normally have.
Probably about 40 to 45 listings, and I'm not even saying that's high. I know dudes who have like 500, but sure. I mean, I'm not a guy who likes to sit on things. I price my things to sell. I mean, don't get me wrong. If I know it's a desired item, I'm not going to undercut myself. But you know, I mean, if it's a slow moving item, I'm going to treat it like a flip, a quick one. You know what I mean? Like, I don't mind doubling, tripling my money really quickly. I don't have to, it might be getting into the tips angle of this podcast, but I don't mind small sales because they add up. I mean, $10 sales is still $100. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, $10 net, but you know what I mean? Like, it still adds up. So, I guess I don't know, the big money item in my eBay right now is, I have a GameCube NR reader. It's a development, something like that would send out to developers so they can develop games for the GameCube. And right. I wouldn't say it's super rare, but it's rare. I mean, it's something that's probably you won't see more than maybe 3 or 4 listings for them, and a lot of them are PAL. But I'm pretty aggressive on my price. I set it high because frankly, I don't really care if it sells or not.
Right.
And I even put a best offer because I'm loving to see the lowball offers come in, so I can just like counter for like $1 less than my asking price. I'm just having fun with it. I don't even care. I did have a NR disc that came with it, but it was a very boring one. It was just for like a Logitech controller. I paid $100 for the whole thing. Not bad. Yeah. I sold the controller disc or the NR disc for like $175. So I mean, I'm already free rolling. So. Yep. And it's it's like this, like a green. I mean, so it's a very unique color.
I saw it.
And like I said, I don't really care if it sells or not. It can sit there and never sell. But I just put it up for $500, and I figured, somebody wants it. A video on it, and all of a sudden it'll get hot, and then I'll raise it to $600. So.
Just loan it out to Metal Jesus, and then he can do a video on it for you.
Right? Yeah, with his disk drive he found, quote unquote, found at a yard sale.
We're not gonna go there.
No, I don't want to diss Metal Jesus. He seems like a really nice guy. I also have some sealed 3DO games on there, so why don't you go pick up a 3DO game? Go ahead. They're brand new. Like, they're only $20, so go buy one in your collection.
I saw the Kaboom. You'd sold a couple of those.
Oh yeah. I sold, well, see, a local game store like liquidates. They were having these yard sales, like a community swap meet, and so I'd be a vendor. I'd take a bunch of junk and like crap that I just have piling up. That it's not really eBay worthy, but it's like, kind of half-assed trade worthy. I don't know. It's just like common 64 games or common NES games. This stuff that just piled up, right? And so I would pay the $5 because if you pay $5, you get to get in an hour early. And then I wouldn't even set up my stuff. I would just go straight to their stuff and start buying all their stuff. And I mean, I got like a child power glove. I didn't even realize it was a child-sized power glove when I bought it. I got them for like 50 cents a piece. You know what I mean? Like crazy blowout stuff. Like I got a Pikachu 64 for $10. You know what I mean? A Master System for $5.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, like some of the pictures that I can repost them or something. But I mean, it's just like crazy. They had brand new 3DO controllers for 50 cents a piece. Like I bought 40 of them. You know what I mean? It was like
that's awesome.
$30, 30 bucks. I mean, that thing, I would just like relist it and I'd forget about it. It's like, oh, another one went. Now I'm down to like one. You know what I mean? It was like probably the best, cheapest purchase. Well, not the best, but video, I don't know, in a while. It was really cool. It just kept like buying games for me. It was like, oh, now I can buy this, But anyways, they stopped the swap meet thing, and now they're just selling it out of their store. So you can't really, because I would end up making like $300 or $400, and then I would buy a bunch of crap while I was there, and I would still be selling. It's like I end up leaving with money and junk. It was very fun.
That's
last month or a couple months ago. Dude, and it's BRE software. I mean, the crazy thing is if you look inside your old like Game Pro magazines or Electronic Gaming Monthly magazines, and some of the other smaller, some of those from like the 90s, if you check them out, like they used to run ads on a national level. It was kind of crazy. It was, this little Fresno store. It's pretty cool. But they still had all this old stock, like all those kabooms. And I mean, I got those for $1 a piece, And I went there and I spent like $60, and I think I've made probably like $450 or $500, and I haven't really dented most of the stuff that I bought that day. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool. And they're having something tomorrow, so I'm gonna have to get off work in the morning and rush over there before the other local hunters try to be. The real satisfying thing is there's a couple of local guys who, like you can always see them all swelled up, all. Like, hey, I'm here for, and then they see me walk up, and then you just see them get deflated. I mean, that is such a good feeling. Like I and they got in before me, and then it was like they're over there like picking up one item at a time. I was just like, oh, a box of sealed kabooms. I'll just take this whole box, and I set it on. Like I just start making this pile off to the side, and you get to see them just like wither. Like it was nice because I mean they do the same thing. They're reselling, and it's a friendly competition. They're both really good guys, but
yep.
But, there's the other time, too, where I'm walking around the swap meet and I see they've already been there and I'm like, oh, shit, So, but anyway. So that's what I'm selling. So buy a kaboom for the Atari 800, buy a sealed 3DO game in our reader.
Yeah, buy the dev console.
Yeah.
Make a best offer, right?
Yeah, make a best offer, and I can laugh at your lowball offer. I'll humiliate you. Yeah, via reply offer or counter offer.
Right. So the next section is our tip corner, as you were talking about earlier. Do you have any tips for buying and selling, or anything that people should do that really, or people that do that really annoys you, or where you find deals? We're starting off with Curtis.
Do I have any tips? Well, I think I mentioned one before. That's patience. Patience, man. I mean, I've been collecting the Super Nintendo set since 2010, so 7 years. I've been, pretty patient, and Super Nintendo's terrible to collect for right now. It's so expensive. But you wait, and I gotta back that up. The caveat here is I don't use eBay. I'm trying to not use eBay. I'm trying to only do it through mom and pop stores or conventions, stuff like that. So you got to be patient. One of the things I hate that people do that annoys me is when you go to a mom and pop store and they check freaking eBay right in front of you.
Yeah.
Like that drives me nuts, and it totally screwed over a deal I had, which ended up being good. In one of my latest pickup videos, I talked about it. But there was this Nintendo Power that I found at a store that was one that I needed that had a special DVD in it, and those were just hard to find. And the dude looked up eBay in front of me, wouldn't budge, was at the super high end for price, wasn't even a complete issue. And so I was like, screw this guy, and I decided not to get it. And I found it on eBay that night for $3. So
that's good.
And that's a win.
That is a win. I do use eBay for Nintendo Power.
Truth comes out.
And nobody judges you for that, bud.
Why would they?
They shouldn't. I used to have that. I don't want to eBay. And then I started seeing games and I'm like, okay, if I buy this game for $8 and if I was in person and I paid it $5, but yet it's going to cost me like $6 in gas to get there. So it started becoming more cost efficient to buy common games on eBay.
Yes.
Common games at one point, just so like I'll knock out 10 games and if I actually try to hunt for them. Now you do take some of the thrill of the hunt out of it.
That's what I was gonna say, yeah.
You take away the thrill
You
of the
do.
hunt. And to be honest, I mean, in LA, we're very fortunate. We have like 7 billion game stores here. We don't have the flea markets and the swap meets like Chris has. That is pretty much non-existent in LA. But we do have a ton of game stores. And if you know the right ones to go to, you can find some really good prices that usually beat eBay. I mean, there's a couple stores that I know that just always are way lower than eBay.
But is that truly in the wild?
Well, I mean, define in the wild.
Yeah.
Yard sales, swap meets, thrift stores.
No, man, that's like the friggin', that's the bush, man. No.
Okay.
I'm a little bit more cosmopolitan.
Oh, I see.
Plus,
It's a Hollywood thing.
It is a Hollywood thing, I guess. I have a friend, he owns a game store, so I like, and it's mom and pop. I like to support the mom and pop shops. Like, we have to support them, otherwise they'll go under. And
right,
you know,
true.
So that's it.
But in a way, all right, I'll give you a flip side of it.
Okay.
If you buy a game for me on eBay, you're helping a fellow collector.
Here's the other thing, though, about eBay too. Like, you can't sit there and judge it in front of you. You know, like, you can see all the pictures in the world, but pictures don't always show everything. You get
Buyer protection.
Right? But I don't want to do that. See, that's just more annoying. You talk about like, oh, it costs how much in gas. Like, well, time is important to me too, and I don't want to waste a bunch of time having to go mail out some stupid game that came to me wrong, wasn't the right game, whatever, it's damaged. I don't care. That's time that I don't want to spend. Like, at least when I set aside my time to go to the game store, that's what I want to do. This is my hobby. I'm setting aside time for my hobby right now.
Okay.
I don't want it to feel like work. You know what I mean?
I feel you. I'm not trying to teach you how to collect. I'm giving you the alternative. That's all. I mean, you obviously got it down. You almost got a complete Super Nintendo set.
Getting close. And see, that's the other thing. Here's my other tip. Dude, it doesn't have to be you that's always looking. Have your friends go out and look for you. Mm-hmm. I have a handful of friends right now that have the list of hard games I still need, and I say, if you see it at a good price, let me know. You know, and if you want to pick it up, I'll pay you back. You send it to me. Boom. Beach blanket bingo.
Somehow I've never got that list. The circle, huh?
You know what's funny is, like, I actually told you that I was going to send it to you, and I never did.
Yeah, I know. That's what I
completely forgot. I mean, I'm going to send it to you right now.
We're drinking beers, watching wrestling, and
I know. All right, you know what?
Yeah.
While we're talking, I'm going to actually do it right now.
All right, you do that. I'm going to move on to me now for the tip. Okay, I was actually just thinking about this, and I literally just went over to my email, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure there was something I just recently had where I could come up with a tip from one of my eBay or my Kijiji interactions today, and I actually missed out on a deal. I don't know if someone offered higher or what, or if it's even still for sale, but the guy didn't answer. And it was a Sega Saturn set, and it was a lot of games. Let me just, I of course wasted my own time and put into a spreadsheet to check how much it was worth. 58 games for Sega Saturn, plus the console, plus the Knights controller, plus the steering wheel. Altogether, he was asking $550 Canadian.
A complete set?
Not complete. No, like these games are, so there's
but a lot of
games. So of the games, out of 58 games, there's 56 that were complete in box. The console itself was just loose, no box for it. But $550 for all that. I went and rather than just, messaging him right away and see if it's still available or trying to be the first person to answer him, I thought I would make sure that it meets my criteria of being 3 times worth 3 times what he's selling it for. Mm-hmm. So I put it in a spreadsheet. I have a thing from Travis that I had on the show before where he has the spreadsheet actually look up the prices on price charting. So with that, it's $1,380. This is all Canadian. $1,380 is what it's worth. I mean, if I bought it for 550 and I could sell it all for 1,300, that's also 1,300. Sorry, 1,300 is the American value. So you add like whatever 30% at least onto that or whatever,
Right.
and that would be almost 1,500, which is 3 times my investment, which is what I aim for, just to cover mistakes plus double your money to make it worth your time.
Right.
All that.
Plus, some of them are. I mean, if you sell it as a whole, but if you do it individually,
yeah, I would have broken up. That's the thing. Yeah. So the most valuable
some
game
of them are going to
there,
be slow.
most valuable game there was Power Slave, which is worth $120.
So you're already halfway home.
Yeah.
Or, well, not quite, but you're a good chunk, right?
They
Not quite
teach
half,
math up there in Fresno.
Well, I mean, I'm going between American and Canadian. I don't know if he meant 130 American or 130 Canadian. Because 130 American is like 750 Canadian.
It was 120
Right.
American.
Good save. Try to confuse us with more math.
Right.
So what I'm trying to convey is I should have just messaged the guy. I should have just messaged him, see if it was available, try and be the first person to answer. Now, that doesn't help if the person takes the highest bidder anyway, because
Sure.
I mean, generally on Craigslist, Kijiji, people will take the highest bidder because they know you don't know who else gave you offers. But I've had people who stick to whoever is the first person quite a bit, actually. So I should.
I have too. I've had someone. I'm sorry. I had a dude who posted this really sweet, like every title was like $30 titles, $40 titles NES, and he only wanted $50 for like, I don't know, it was like 25 games, right? And I called him. Like he was saying, like he had his number in the ad, but he was telling people to reply to the mail. And I was like, screw it. I just called him. I got him on the phone, and I was just like, I really want it. I kept him on the phone until I drove to his house. He was still on the phone with me when I got there. Yeah, I was like, and he was telling me, he's like, I kept hearing people beep in, but I just kept him talking.
Well, that was the other issue, was this guy is 40 minutes away from me. So if I was to drive there, it would have taken 40 minutes. It still would have been worth it, but
yeah, it was a 25-minute drive, and I got there in about 15 minutes. So,
yeah, so I probably could have got there in 25.
Right, I hauled ass.
Yeah, and he had his phone number in the ad too. I actually should check if the ad's still up.
Yeah, I always go phone. If the phone number's there, I'm calling.
See,
you put it out there, buddy.
I hate talking on the phone is my problem, but I need to get past that in order to get deals.
Dude, you got an excellent voice, man. Go for it. Be friendly.
All right, let's move on. So, Chris, what's your tip?
You want a tip, or because I wrote?
You can give as many.
I don't know. I might have went overboard. I might have went overboard on the tips, but
I think everybody likes.
Okay, I'll give you a yard sale.
Okay.
So this is my number one yard sale tip. Okay. Well, number one and a half. There's another one too, but be friendly, man. When you walk up to a yard sale, I mean, obviously you're scanning for stuff, but as soon as somebody they're within distant, like they can hear you and see you, like, hey, good morning, how are you doing? Get them talking. And even if you see stuff you want, you can go over there and grab it, but don't even ask them about the price. I get people talking. Next thing you know, we're like friends, and then you hit them up for how much they want for it, and then all of a sudden they're like, just give me $10. I've had it happen so many times where if I would have probably came out of, I didn't even ask, like when I got my my Sharp NES TV. All right, the guy initially, when he told me about it, he wasn't even going to sell it. Oh, I don't know, it's a collector's item, I'm not going to sell it. So instead of like trying to pressure him on it, I was just like, can I see it? I'm gonna look at it. Then it was like, it was in like this dingy house. Well, can I take it outside to look at it? Next thing I know, his dad had an extension cord. He's plugging it in. They're giving me games to test it. and I was like, how about $50? And he's like, yeah, I was gonna. Well, I'll even go back further. I was gonna offer him 100, which is still really low, but I figured you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Thankfully, my girlfriend said, no, offer him 50. And I was like, all right. So I was like, how about 50? And he said, oh, yeah, I'll take it. So, I mean, it really comes down to personality, man. If you have it, use it. If you don't have it, develop one.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's just, be friendly to people. Like, think if you were in their position and someone comes up all pushy, you're not likely to break them off a deal. So that would be my first yard sale tip. Plus, just because you don't see it don't mean they don't have it. And I'm not saying this is a super original tip, but I mean, it's something I've used for years before I ever heard anybody mention it. I mean, you know, we all have similar ideas, but ask them what they got in the house. Got any games? And even if they hesitate a little bit and say no, that's usually a sign of recognition. And I press on. I'm like, you sure? Because I saw something, and they're like, you know what? Actually, I do. I don't know how many people have started off with a no, and next thing I know, they're bringing out like, oh, I don't have any games. I just have this box of games. You know, you know what I mean? Like, I've had people literally tell me to my face, I don't have any games, and they go, but you know what? You're right. I do have this big box of games, but I don't have it. And then they bring them out, and next thing I know, I'm leaving with that big box of games.
It's like their definition of games is different. Like they think you mean modern games, or they think you mean a certain thing. Yeah.
They have it stuck in their mind. Oh, you mean these old crappy Nintendo? Yeah, that is what I'm talking about. They don't, you know, like, yeah, exactly what you said is pretty much, they think I mean Xbox 360 or something that they like. So don't always take no for an answer. I mean, obviously read the person, because some people's no, you can tell after a while, you know what a no is.
I've also seen that be, they say no, but they're thinking console games, and you may want handheld games still.
Absolutely.
So you mention handheld still too. Especially
I give it the rundown. I'll go as far as Atari. I mean, I'll say anything, because they break out some stuff that I wouldn't even thought to ask for.
Like an NES TV.
I'll tell you. Exactly. I wouldn't even thought. He's like, you know, because I asked him, hey, you got any old games? And he's like, you mean like the classic games like NES? And I was like, yeah, like that. And he goes, I have some. He goes, you know what I have is I have a Nintendo that's built into a TV. So I play dumb. I'm like, really? Nintendo on a TV? You say,
your heart starts racing.
I looked right at her, you know, because I have like this kind of look, you know, and like, you know, because I like to make her laugh, and she's, you know, like she's trying to hold it in because she knows I have like that, I don't know, it's almost. And so yeah, it's like, oh really? You got this thing that the holy grail that I'm actually never thought I would find. You have that? Can I have it? You know, so. And that goes to the next tip is, if you have a girlfriend or a significant other or boyfriend, whatever, teach them how to do what you're doing. Because for one thing, they're going to probably be with you anyway. And the most likely they're going to have a smartphone too. And the eBay app is very user friendly. I don't know how many times I've passed up some bullshit item that I wasn't even looking at. And like, she's like, oh, look at this hook on phonics that's worth $150, and they just sold it to me for $1. Here you go. So, you know, she ends up, I mean, you have a whole nother pair of eyes, you know what I mean? And it's just like, and you're not competing with them. So, you know, that'd be another tip. Don't take people you're competing with, because then it becomes stressful. I mean, it might be fun on some levels, but I don't know, man. I have another reseller friend. He's always like, yeah, let's go out thrifting. I'm like, why? So we could be racing to the same section? It's stressful. I don't need that. Yeah. So take people you don't compete with. Avoid people you do compete with. If they're going to one store, go to the other store, because this is going to be better.
Yep.
eBay
I've had good
tips.
experience.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right. I've had good experiences with bringing my wife my wife coming garage selling with me. She's seen games when I didn't even see them. Like, I'm distracted by some, like, you know, some gadget, like a freaking MP3 player. I'm like, oh, I remember those things. And then I'm walk back to the car. She's like, did you see the games? I'm like, what games? How did I miss the games?
Right.
Yeah. It's happened more than once.
All right. If you're a seller on eBay, you should have the eBay phone number, because anytime you have an issue with a buyer, for instance, you know, do your communication, try to work it out, but the tactic I usually use, because I mean, I'll put it like this: I test everything that goes out. I don't sell junk, so I know if they got it and they're trying to like return it, because I'm not accepting returns. Like, I mean, some people with 30-day returns is kind of a different person. Me, you bought it, it's yours. And not get, if you could prove there's something wrong with it, which I know there's not. Call the eBay phone number. I say always call in the evening. So whatever your evening is there, because they're going to kick you to like India. And I've had nothing but success with those operators, and I get the case open and closed in one phone call. So, you know, another thing, like people try to scam, right? Like I'll give you a really common scam for me. I'll resell like iPhones. Anytime I come across an iPhone, it don't matter what generation it is. It's an easy sell, anywhere from, $30 to, $300, $400. I mean, it just depends on what generation it is and what have you. But they all sell. Old iPods, they all sell. But with the iPhones specifically, a lot of times when I sell them, I always list them not working for parts only. Okay. A lot of times you'll get messages like, is the iCloud open? They want to know all that. And it's like, dude, it's for parts. You know what I mean? Because they're trying to get into other people. I'm assuming they're trying to get other people's information. So a good way to.
So with the iCloud thing, I've heard of that already. Actually, I was in a pawn shop and they were talking about it. If the phone is iCloud locked, then there is no way for anyone but the original owner to unlock it. So the thing's just good.
But if I'm selling you a phone for parts, you see what I'm saying? Like
they were probably trying to resell it. They probably want to buy it from you,
right?
Wipe it and resell it as a brand new or as a used but functional phone, right?
Exactly. But I'm selling it as parts. So, but sometimes you'll get those situations where they'll like, I had a guy try to get back at me saying, well, there's no usable parts, which first off, that's bullshit because the screen's a usable part. Right. But I'll ask them, I'll be like, how do you know? And they'll be like, well, I tested every part. I'm like, how did you do that? Well, I opened it up and I tested every part. Okay. Right there. Open and close case.
Yeah.
Anytime somebody alters an item, guest in your last episode, I believe it was one of your guests, was talking about he don't like to sell carts because people say they don't work and stuff like that. I might be summarizing it, not quite exactly what he said, but but it was something to that effect. Like he don't like selling carts on eBay.
Yep.
Because people say it don't work. So usually, and I know it works because, well, first off, I tested it and there's a picture of it in my listing of it working. But so I'll ask them, I'll be like, have you cleaned your system? Like, oh yeah, because my system's perfect. Okay. Did you try cleaning the cart? Now I don't say with alcohol. I'll just be like, did you try cleaning the cart? And they'll be like, yeah. It's like, how did you do it? Oh, I took a Q-tip with alcohol. Okay. Right there, it's case closed. Right on the back of the Nintendo game says, don't put alcohol on it. Sometimes they're trying to like swap ROMs on you or scam you. You know what I mean? Or they got cold feet. Well, sorry, I'm not in the business for cold feet. You know what I mean? Like, I'm an honest seller. You bought it. That's, if there was something wrong with it, legitimately, that's kind of different. But
if it was, you would have noticed when you were testing anyway. So
why is alcohol bad?
It's not bad. You know why alcohol's bad? Because Nintendo wanted to sell you their clean product. There's absolutely nothing wrong with using alcohol, but
oh, thank God! I was just gonna say, like, I use alcohol all the time.
But on the back, if you look at it, it says do not use alcohol or any other solvent or however you pronounce. So
solvent.
Yes, right. I wasn't an English major. So you definitely have to, you just lead them into it. You know what I mean? Because they're trying to bullshit you.
Let them bury themselves, basically.
Right, and never communicate outside of eBay. Always do it through the emails. Always do it through the email, because sometimes they'll be like, "Hey, call me." No, just do it through the emails, because that way everything's record. Like you can't delete. Like they can delete it on their end, but eBay can still read it. So always do it through eBay emails.
Have you ever listened to the Scavenger Life podcast?
I haven't.
Sorry, you cut out. Scavenger Life podcast?
No.
Okay, you should.
Sorry, no.
They're just a husband and wife eBay sellers. They've been doing it since 2000. How was it? 2006, something like 2008, like that. They've been selling, and they have like 6,000 items in their store. They buy stuff at auctions and thrift stores and stuff, but they talk about tips just like this all the time for eBay. It's great to listen to.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, I mean, like I'm always looking for new tips, and some of this is trial and error, how I learned it. You know what I mean? Like, or I just learned it by accident. Like, it was hard to find the eBay number. Like, try to find it. It takes a while.
I don't know it. I sell, but I don't sell a lot. But I've sold, and I've never had a customer issue I've had to do either, though. So
that's good. Far. But if you ever do, call 1-866-961-9253. So if you call that number, that's eBay's phone number. They do not just list it freely. It took me a half hour to get through all the, because they make you go through commonly asked questions. They make you try to talk to a moderator. They make you do all kinds of stuff before you can get to it. And it took me about 30 minutes one day. So And they used to change it like every 6 months, but this number's been good for a while.
Nice. That's good.
So I got maybe one more, 1.5 more.
Sure.
I like to play with my listings. Like if let's say I have a slow moving item that was like free shipping. Let's say it was $30 free shipping. I'll switch it to like $25 plus shipping. And you say, well, it's still the same amount, right? $25 plus $5. But some sellers, they just look at the price. So like you'll have a seller who will be like, or a buyer. I mean, you'll have a buyer who will be like, well, I won't buy anything that's not free shipping.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. But then you also have a buyer that will be like, oh, it's cheaper. It's $25. And then when like, well, of course you're going to pay shipping. It's a weird mentality. And I don't understand it because the price is still the same. But I know it works because I've had an item that was stagnant and sat there for 3 months. And then all of a sudden I lowered the price, but then added shipping and it sold the same day. So it's something I use to tweak it. And last one, have your friends watch your items. If they have, is you know, like when you look on an item, it doesn't really show it in the app, but it does like when you go online, it'll tell you how many watchers are watching your item.
Yep.
So if you have like 4 or 5 friends at eBay, send them your links and tell them just to watch it. So then all of a sudden somebody looks at it and they're like, wow, there's 9 watchers or whatever. Makes it look hotter than it really is. And watch your own item. Click watch of your own items because it's just adding another watch. I don't tell them who's watching it.
I didn't realize you could watch your own items. I'm going to try it now.
You can. Always when you post your listing, go to view listing and then scroll down and hit watch. Right off the bat, you got 1 watcher. So it helps. I mean, it's, you know, so, I mean, watchers aren't necessarily buyers, but I know I've been like, I see an item that got a bunch of watchers and all of a sudden it seems more interesting all of a sudden. So, but anyway, that's it.
Awesome.
Okay.
I like it. So moving on to, I'm going to watch your GameCube now, your dev GameCube.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to take a quick break here for a little advertisement.
Hey guys, Dean Lasagna here from Round 2 Gaming, and I wanted to quickly jump in to let you know about one of my favorite gaming podcasts, Flock Talk. Miles, Chris, and Catherine put on a fantastic show for you each and every month, covering themed topics ranging from puzzle games and escape rooms to gaming aspirations and best of moments. Whether you're into video games or board games or card games, I guarantee you'll find that geek culture enjoyment you're looking for. Hilarious hosts, witty banter, top-notch quality, Flock Talk from the Flock of Nerds crew. Check them out on iTunes or head on over to www.cartridgeclub.org to join in the fun.
And we're back. So next segment is story time. Does anybody have a story to tell? Failures, lessons learned, anything like that. So starting with me, I'm always telling stories on here. So I rarely have anything, you know, from a while ago anymore to talk about. So I usually just at this point share where my budget is, my gaming budget. So right now my gaming budget is up by $107. So that's good. I'm in the positives, which has been a long time coming since before Barry, when I started buying up stuff. I have lots of stuff to sell still, so I expect that to get higher. And eventually, if it gets high enough, maybe like if I hold myself off from buying more controllers for no good reason, then maybe I'll use it to put it towards a new console or something like that. That's about all I have to talk about.
Do you have any goals to get stuff to get?
I don't. I gave up. I had a giant list of games, and I'm like, I'd like to find these. One thing that was high on my list of goals was actually to get all the arcade collections for, well, pretty much all disc-based game consoles.
Right.
So, and I got quite a lot of them. I still have them, and I like them, and I'm keeping them. But some of them are just ridiculous, like the Data East collection on Wii. And other ones I just never come across. So
I want that too.
Is that a hard to find one? The Data East collection?
It's going up.
Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's if you see it, grab it.
Well,
okay.
Will's had it twice.
Yeah, grab it and give it to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know Will gets it a lot.
Yeah. Pretty sure he's had it twice now. And I almost bought it off in the
So do you know like, or just through
I've seen it at the
social
swaps.
media?
I've seen it at the swaps.
Yeah.
And
How about Joel? Have you ever met Joel?
Oh yeah. Actually, I saw you got some stuff from Joel again. Yeah. I see him at the
Oh,
swaps.
I love that guy. Me and him.
He's awesome.
Yeah, me and him have been like bros on Instagram for a few years now, and I love that dude. So shout out to Joel if you're listening. You're the man.
Agreed. Jam Kennels. on Instagram. Yeah, he's great. And Will's great to talk to too. Both often.
Oh yeah, Will's really
they
cool.
know each other too.
Yeah. Well, I know they're always
Cole,
together.
he recently hooked you up too, right? So
he's been hooking me up for a while, man. He hooked me up with some super rare manuals.
Does he drive down to you too?
You know, I missed my chance to actually meet him in person last year. He came to a convention, but I couldn't get away. Like he was only here during the week, and I was like, I couldn't get away. I regret it now. I should have just called in sick.
I knew he drove into the States because he picked up a TV, I think it was, for CJR. Yeah, a TV
well,
for CJR,
he's always into like north, central, northeast, like
okay,
Detroit.
Makes
Ohio,
sense, which is
stuff like that.
drivable
at least
from here, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Cool.
Totally. Yeah, for sure.
Like, who are you talking about? I don't know.
Exactly.
You had your moment. This is mine. All right. So for stories, Chris, you got anything to share? Any lessons learned or
I think
interesting, fun stuff? Good.
Well, lesson learned. I was kind of going with that with Curtis earlier. Like I learned my lesson with being a label snob. I remember passing up on some harder to find titles early, and they weren't so expensive then, but then I ended up having to pay the price later.
But guess what, though? They are coming down again. They're starting to come down.
Nah, not the rares. The commons, the commons and the uncommons are coming down a little bit, but the rares, I mean, they might be coming down, but they're still very expensive. So
right.
I don't know. I'll give you an old story. I'll try to give you the really short version of it. My brother used to go across the street to this church, right? And the pastor there started up like a Nintendo club where he brought some old Nintendo. No, you got to keep in mind, this was like Super Nintendo era. So it was kind of like, oh, he's got an old Nintendo. Anyway, so he had a Nintendo there. Kids were like bringing games to play. Well, one kid brought these Bible games, and my brother brought them over and showed them to me. He's like, have you ever seen these before? And at the time, like, I kind of saw a few at the swap meet, but I was like, it was just stupid, right? And I was like, nah, I don't want none of that. But that same kid also had Super Nintendo games that he wanted to trade. And he's like, he don't care what you got as long as he don't have it. So I got like 3 of my crappy games. I was like, all right, well, tell him what he will do for this. And my brother comes back with Legend of Zelda, Metroid, and Super Punch-Out, which at the time I didn't have any of them. So I was just like, holy shit. You know what I mean? So got any more Super Nintendo games? He's like, nah, that was it. That's all he wants to trade. He goes, but he does have a couple of regular Nintendo games. And at the time, I still had my NES collection. It was small. I mean, it's probably about 20 games, but I didn't really care. You know, I was more into Super Nintendo. And he named off a few of them, and it was like, oh, he's got Castlevania, he's got Contras, and I was like, I already got those. And he's like, and I mean, I swear to God, it's a true story. And he says, and he has another, I think it's another Bible game. It's called Little Samson. And at the time, it was probably a $30 or $40 game, because I mean, this was like late 90s, probably 96, 97. And I was like, Little Sam, I told you I don't want none of those Bible games, right? So that was like my first chance to get Little Samson. Like, I mean, there was no, at the time, there might have been internet, but it wasn't very functional. There was no YouTube. It wasn't like I was gonna be able to look up gameplay. Probably had I seen it, I might have rolled the dice on it, because he probably would have just gave it to me for nothing. But yeah, so could have had a Little Samson about 1996 or 97 for like, I could have traded him on Mario Duck Hunt. He didn't care. He just wanted a game he didn't have. So
yeah, you would have saw Taito on it. You would have thought, oh, what's wrong with this, right? That's not.
I think I would have. Yeah, I think the title name, because like I had Bubble Bobble. So I mean, I had a few title games. So yeah, I probably would have.
There's dragons and he's punching his skull.
But yeah, I didn't. Right. I mean, but you hear Samson, and it just sounded like, I mean, this dude came over with Bible Adventures, and it
would have been different if you saw it, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lesson learned. Actually, take a look at it. When someone says they have games, don't make assumptions. My story.
Cool. All right, Curtis, what about you?
I will also tell an older story. Not as old as Chris, but just a few years ago. And it's... I have told it before, but I've only ever gotten 2 games off of Craigslist, which were Earthbound and Hagane. And Hagane was really interesting because I would search it every day, and I'm like, one of these days I'm going to hit a Hagane and I'm going to get it. And this one listing came up that said, willing to trade for Hagane. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. What do they want to trade? And it said, willing to trade Hagane for Sentinel action figure from the Marvel Legends series if you have it complete. Like, that's it. I was like, that is so specific. The Sentinel toy, and I don't know if you know about that, like, you have to buy basically the whole set of toys, and they each come with a part of the Sentinel, and then you put the Sentinel together. I was like, what? How bizarre is that? But I actually had that Sentinel toy.
No way.
Yeah, and it was just sitting in the back of my closet, and I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe I have this. So I messaged the guy. I was like, dude, I have that Sentinel toy. And he wanted the Sentinel toy and $70. And I was like, I'd totally do that.
Okay.
And so we met up, and sure enough, he's like, my girlfriend didn't think that anyone would have the Sentinel toy, so now I get to go back and show her the Sentinel toy. I'm like, cool, it's a cool story, bro. Just give me the game.
Right.
And so I get it, and I'm stoked. It's not the best looking Hagane. It's seen better days, but dude, it's Hagane, right?
Very good looking. So
yeah, no, because they got the Mexico label.
Better.
But he also, so now this is, now I'm going to go into the part of the story where I learned a lesson the hard way. So he said, hey, I also have Aero Fighters for sale. And I was like, oh, how much? And he goes, $350. I was like, $350? And this was like 4 years ago. I was like, I think I'll pass. Worst mistake I ever made, because that's like a $700 game now. I so wish I would have jumped on that. And it was the Aero Fighters was nice.
Just call them up and be like, hey, you remember that deal?
I know. Do you still have Aero Fighters, bro?
$350.
But that was just cool. Like, I had that toy. It was so random.
That is. Now it makes me want to keep them.
I had something that was similar. It wasn't as random, but I found a Chippendale 2 at a yard sale for like $1, right? And I already had it, so I kind of posted in a local group and just saying, I wanted Final Fight 3 and plus whatever the difference of like figure out. I didn't care whatever else, but whatever made up the equal value, right?
Yeah.
So Chippendale 2 was like $150. And Final Fight 3 at the time was like $100. So it was like, that plus whatever. Well, a local guy, he was, and it sucks. He was a friend. He really wanted it. And he's like offering me all this stuff that, I'd shown interest in before. And I was like, dude, I'm really sorry, man, but I just really want that. And at the end, he got all frustrated. He goes, dude, no one's ever going to just have that. You might as well just sell it on eBay. Like I could tell he was frustrated, right? And since then we've made up and all that, so it doesn't matter. But so at the time I was like, all right, well, I'm sorry. I know you're upset.
Ricky.
It was not Ricky, it was Aaron. But so 3 minutes later, another dude messaged me from the same group and he goes, hey, I'm actually getting a Final Fight 3 tomorrow with a mint label. Because I really want that. And he's like, I also have like a Double Dragon Battletoads, and I'll throw that in. I'm like, hey, right on. So anyways, it was just the randomness of that one guy having the one thing. Yeah. And it's a small group. It was like 100 people, you know what I mean? And
yeah.
It's not as random as your story, because yours is so super specific.
So specific. Just bizarre.
Right, but it just made me think of that story. But
no, that stuff's cool when you get like a fun trade like that and it just works out.
Yeah, and then, like another guy, because I posted it, another guy wanted that. He had some Dinobots that I wanted. So he's like, I'll give you these Dinobots and a top loader, which I didn't, like one of the 7, I didn't really need it, but, I was like, hey, like, I'm just like up in value. You know what I mean? Like, cool.
How many top loaders you got right now? 7? Is that what it?
I have 7. Yes, I have 7. I could have had, 9 or something, but I sent one to you and sent one to Rip, and so.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Right. Well, you made it up. You sent me a very rare TurboGrafx game, so it wasn't like, it ended up being a trade. It was a gift, but
we gifted each other for a trade.
We gifted each other, right? I look at it kind of as a trade now, but there was no strings attached when I sent it to you. I just wanted you to have it because.
And likewise.
Right. I still like you. I made it sound past tense, but at the time, you know what I mean?
Hey, just, hit me up after we finish this podcast. And we'll talk about how much we like each other a little bit more.
Right.
Finally send them your list.
I already sent it, dude. Did you get it?
Okay.
Get it?
Okay, cool.
Deleted. What?
But see, Chris is looking. See, this is what he's talking about. Chris is also looking for all these Super Nintendo games. So why is he going to give me these games?
There's one in there that he already has.
There's games in here I have. Plus,
there you go.
I know you don't have Relief Pitcher.
Okay,
I do.
We get it. You have Relief Pitcher. Calm down.
All right. All right, moving on to the next section. We got a collection and discussion or topic. Usually here I just cover what you guys do to track your collections or your purchases. So starting with Chris, do you track your purchases and your sales anywhere?
I mean, I keep track of my collection. I don't price chart it kind of like with the spreadsheets, how you do, which I think is really cool. I do have I can honestly say and it's weird, I have an uncanny ability to kind of remember exactly what I paid for each game or if I bought it in a lot or whatever. So if I really wanted to, I could probably come up with a number of where I'm at.
Yep.
But I basically just keep track of what I have because, it sucks buying some common game that you already owned.
Yeah.
Which I've done that even with a list. I've still done it. But so yeah, I use like those basic collector apps in the East, whatever.
Yep.
And I used to actually have a hard list, like a paper, that I would mark them off because it was like a ritual. Like it kind of felt fun, like a paper list, I know. This thing that they used to make out of trees.
Yeah.
But yeah, I used to actually, even though I already had the app, but I still kind of liked marking it off. It was really weird. And I took a lot of satisfaction whenever like one of the sheets were done, when they were all marked off.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
It was weird, but I mean, I don't know. I have the list somewhere, but and further, or a flip side of that, there was a time where I used to actually, I had a document page or whatever in like Windows 98 or whatever it was at the time. And I used to like put in the games and, then I'd print out the new one. I'd throw away the old one. And one of them survived. I think at the time I had like 87 NES games or whatever, and then I'd put the date. I mean, it was real, like, I don't know. I always thought, hey, I'll take it with me when I go. And I never remembered it. Like I was like, hey, let's go to the swap meet. It's like, oh, where's that paper? Oh, I left it at home. So
yeah,
it did make a difference.
Do you have any idea of a total number of games?
I know how many. I would say I have over 800 NES games for sure. I'm 5 away from a complete set, but I also have all the PAL exclusives. I also have some of the Hess titles, which was third-party titles that was kind of exclusive to the Australian region.
Crazy. I hadn't even heard of those ones.
Yeah, it's HES. I don't know if you say HES. I just say Hess. I don't know. It's whatever the hell, it's something. But so I actually kind of, that's probably like the, I mean, I'm 2 exclusives away from having all the PAL games that I want. Like there are some variants that I got because there's also like name variants. Like here is River City Ransom, but over in the PAL territories, it's called Street Gangs. So I kind of like that if they have like really major label differences or name differences. So,
yep.
And then also like label variants here. I mean, like if I get something in a lot, even if it's like a small variant, like a trademark or the seal, circle seal, oval seal, I'll keep it because I mean it's like it didn't cost me anything. I don't usually go out of my way for the seal variants unless, like when I was going 5-screw, 3-screw, that kind of stuff. That's another variant. So anyway, I guess if I counted up everything with the NES, Super Nintendo, I got to be around the 2,000 game mark.
Okay.
Probably in that ballpark.
Yeah.
Not too At one point I stopped buying anything other than NES because I was like, all right, I want to really focus on this. And now I'm kind of like flip-flopping between Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, and then the random Game Boy titles. And then if I see like an interesting Genesis title, I'm not going for sets and like any Sega set. I just want the games that I like shooters, beat 'em ups, you know, interesting titles.
Do you do modern consoles at all?
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess the most modern one I've played would be PlayStation 3. My son has a PlayStation 4, and I played that with him a few times. And
gotcha.
And I mean, I have a 3DS. I had a Wii U. So I mean, yeah. I mean, I'll probably get a Switch. I'm just waiting for the library to get a little bigger. You know,
like, obviously not the stuff that interests you the most. It sounds like cartridge-based stuff is basically
right.
It's what you collecting, basically.
Right. I mean, I have a decent Dreamcast collection. You know, I have a few Sega CD titles. You know, there's things like that, but there's some title. I mean, like when you were talking Saturn earlier, like my eyes got glossy because it's like, I mean, not that I know you got a great, you know, the deal part, but I'm just like, I've never had any interest in Saturn.
I know nothing about Saturn. I've touched one.
No, I don't either. But I had a decent Saturn, like, and I never played it. Like, I bought like a Saturn and like 50 games off this dude for like $25, and it was a good titles in there. It's like, so I just ended up flipping it and buying rare NES games. I just sold it all and just that I needed.
Yeah, if I had bought that, I definitely would have. Probably would have kept the console because I like having one console of each, even just for testing games. And then maybe kept a couple games that I thought looked good and sold off the rest, especially the higher value stuff. But
you know, I actually
used the money to buy like a Switch or something.
I kept out of the Saturn was Resident Evil because I thought, like, I know I was never going to play it. I was like, man, this is cool. And then one day I saw that Resident Evil was selling for over $100. I'm like, no, it's sold. I put it on eBay and sold it that night. I was like, I don't need it. I'm going to buy something I really want. I bought like, I don't know, like some uncommon Super Nintendo game.
That was in this set, complete Resident Evil. It shows on price charting at $69.99 right now.
Yeah, I caught it at the peak. I think it's dipped a little bit. Now, of course, you know, price charting and eBay are two different animals. Yep. People will quote price charting, and that's a great reference if you're using it for leverage to buy something. But go to completed sales on eBay, and I would imagine it's a little bit higher than $69. And I'm not saying that's what the value is. I'm just saying that's the market I sell in. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's different if you want to hook up a bro. I mean, you know, like I've hooked up people. I've given stuff away. Like, you know, I mean, there's two different things going on. I'm not like super greedy about stuff. I mean, but trying to fund your hobby. I mean, it's revenue. It's a resource. I mean, I look at it as a trade. Like I bought something for $3 and now I'm trading it for a $200 item. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
But I have to sell it first. I have to do the work. But I mean, essentially, it becomes a trade. You know?
Yeah. Yep. I agree.
No, you were. I don't know. Maybe I'm just going too far off it, but I know you were talking about the scalpers a little bit earlier, and I think the scalp, and I know there's two ways to look at it, but in all honesty, like, all right, I got a Super Nintendo Classic, right? Yeah. And I'm not gonna scalp it. I bought it to keep it, but Curtis, you got like figures that you've never opened, and now you're gonna sell them. Isn't that scalping? I mean, you bought a brand new item. You never used it. That's scalping.
No. I consider it scalping when it's like just out. You know, like this isn't years have gone by. It's when it's in demand. Yeah, there are people now. It's brand new. There are people
who buy things brand new just to hold it to sell. So maybe the intent when you buy it is the difference.
Well, but there was guys at that time who wanted those figures that would have played with them. There was kids who would have played with them or adults who would have opened them up, and you never did. And I'm not judging you. I'm just saying
here's the thing.
It's just a perception of it all. It's like, how long do you have to hold on to something before it's not scalping?
I actually wanted this, so this affects me now. So now I care.
Okay. I understand. I'm just
a damn Super Nintendo Classic.
But I mean, when it comes to scalping itself, I mean, to me, man, we're talking about event tickets. That's where the thing came from. They've hijacked the scalping term and trying to demonize people flipping amiibos and stuff like that. And I get it. It's very frustrating when you go to the store to buy something and it's all gone and you see the same jack off standing in line ahead of you and you know all they're going to do is sell it. It's frustrating. I get it.
You know what I wish they would do though, and maybe some places are, I'm not sure, but just limit it. I know and I know you can get around it. You could go from store to store to store to store.
Taking your sister and your mom and your grandma with you. And
when the Super Nintendo Classic came out, we have this shopping center that has a Best Buy, a Target, a GameStop, all in one. And
that's going.
And the guys were just going from store to store, getting and going back and forth. And they would only allow them to sell one at a time, but they would literally just like buy one, okay, go. Then go back, buy another one, and how many did they come out with? However many they had, until they were gone. And that's, I mean, whatever. But like, I do think it's also on the stores.
There's a element to it. There is.
But like, I also think it's on the stores to try and like limit the scalping. Like, if you just like, oh yeah, you can buy all the amiibos we have. Like, who cares? I don't know. It's
okay. But be honest for a second. All right. You go into a store and there's two amiibos there, and the amiibo is flipping for $70. But there's two of them there. You're not gonna buy both of them and sell one of them, honestly.
Yeah, but I'm not a big seller like you are, so like I don't look at it like that.
Okay, but you could look at it as a trade. Are you gonna trade it for the $15 you paid, or are you gonna trade it for the $70 value?
Well, I don't do a lot of trading either.
Well, maybe that's
why you're short on your Super Nintendo collection. That's why you don't have.
That's different. That's still different.
Fighters.
That's you are just happening upon that situation. That's just circumstance. When you're like
it's
actively,
still scalping.
But when you're actively going out there to do that,
right?
I don't know. That's just
Oh, I'll agree. There is a different level of scum. Yeah. I get it. There's guys out there who I see them and I want to punch them in the face. I agree. But I'm also the guy at the swap meet. There's a guy out there trying to like get his NES set, and I'm walking away with games that I don't need because I'm going to flip them or trade them, and he wants to punch me in the face. I mean, it's really just perception.
Yeah. But and I understand that, and that's why I don't take a hard stance, because it's like, I'm sure if I was put in a similar position where I had, all this access to games to do that, I probably would. Who knows? So I try.
I mean, if there's two Arrow fighters, okay, you're flipping that second one for $700 or something close to that. Yeah. I mean,
but like I said, the only reason I care about this now is because it's actually something I want.
And it's affecting you. I know, and I agree with that because I get salty too. You go and it's all gone, and most of them weren't sold to people who really wanted them, and it makes you a little salty. But when you win and you have it, you're like, hey, I won. Look how happy I am. I got my and I didn't have to buy it on the reseller market. So, I mean, I get both sides, and I'm not really like pro scalping. I'm just saying, I mean, I one day when that Pokemon 3DS came out with the changeable face plates, Sun and Moon or whatever it was, a buddy of mine's like, hey, did you see they came out? I went to Toys R Us app. There it was. I bought it, and I doubled my money that afternoon, and I didn't feel any guilt about it. I sold it like 20 minutes later, and I doubled the money, and I spent $200, and I made $400. So I don't know. Call me an evil scalper, but the person who got it was really happy, and I don't know what to tell them,
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of sucked. I got a little backlash because I put it up for trade. And a couple of people were like, well, why did you buy it if you didn't want to keep it? I was like, why do you think?
Yeah, come on. Let's not play coy here. You know what's going on.
Right.
I feel like
I gotta, but
I feel like if I walked into a store and saw an SNES Classic on the shelf, I almost think I would still buy it just to sell it.
But I think like who was it? I think P1 made a good point, and he's like, really, who you should be angry at is the people who are paying these prices.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say about the console. He was
true.
His customer was happy with buying that.
Yeah. I mean, it's those people that are fueling it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, these scalpers wouldn't do it. People just like
that person shook my hand. They were happy.
Well, they slept in and missed out.
Right? It was great.
They slept in.
They loved
it.
They
missed out on the sale, and then you were there to give them the product they wanted for the price they were willing to pay. I sold them the Teddy Ruxpin or the Cabbage Patch Kid. I mean, this has been going on for a long time. You know what I mean? Optimus Prime. I remember as a kid,
people paying crazy money. I mean, it sucks because you're capitalizing. Oh, the Furby when it first came out.
But I think the moral of the story is I got a Super Nintendo Classic. Suckers!
So if you saw a second one tomorrow, would you pick it up?
You're not gonna buy
Trade
it
for a game you want?
No. That's too much work for me.
No.
I will give a tip for scalpers though, and this is where they go wrong. Okay?
No. I'm kidding.
Now I'm gonna give a tip for scalpers here. Okay, all right. You have to understand if you're a scalper who's in market. Okay, so let's say I'm on Instagram, right? And people are okay with me, we like me, and all that shit. And I do scalping on the low key, like on the down low. I'm not like throwing in everybody's face. See, that's really the way to go about it. But when you post a picture up that shows that you got 10 NES classics or Super Nintendo classics, be pissed because they didn't get it. Like, why draw that kind of attention to yourself?
Yeah.
So you got one. Why do you got to tell everybody? Just do it. Like, if you're gonna sell something, put it on your eBay. It's anonymous for the most part. Don't go around telling everybody. I mean, because you're telling the wrong people. If you're in some sort of scalper group, well, by all means. But if you're in a collector group and you're doing that, you're gonna get backlash. It's kind of stupid. You're asking for the hate.
Yeah, it's bragging when it's not necessary, especially when it's a for sale ad. Yeah.
Right. I mean, you're just making people feel like shit. You know. So don't do that. Don't be that guy.
Okay, let's keep on with the collection discussion. Curtis, it's on you now. And do you track your purchases or your sales?
I do. I use that. There's an app I use an iPhone, so iOS. I don't know if it's on Android. I assume maybe it is, but it's from puregaming.org, and they have this retro collector app. It's a really great app. I've been using it for years now, and probably the last 2 years I've started. You can put in how much you pay for a game. You can do all sorts of stuff, and so I have been tracking sales as of the last couple years. And then as far as my complete collections that I'm going for, which is Super Nintendo and Nintendo Power, I totally do the paper checklist because just like Chris said, I love it.
Going on there?
Uh-oh, what was that?
Sorry, that was me. I got really excited and I pulled the
your paper out.
I pulled the headphones out of my ears.
You ripped your paper.
Yeah. No, but what I was saying is, yes, I totally use the paper checklist because it's super fun.
It really does give you that boost of.
There is. I love coming home from the game store and whipping out my paper and just big ol' X.
It feels good.
Makes sense. I can see it. I do that the odd time when I'm trying to figure something out. I'll write things down.
Oh,
I also or remember to do something.
Right. I also on my phone I keep track of all the Nintendo Power. I have essentially the same thing, a paper checklist on my phone for Nintendo Power.
Your notepad.
Exactly. All the ones.
Yeah, I have the same setup.
Yeah,
dude. At one time, it was ridiculous. I had the notepad, I had the real paper, I did the same collector app you had, and I would go into Nintendo Age and check it out. So it was this whole thing. So I had to kind of cut it down a little bit.
I don't use RF Generation anymore. Unfortunately, as much as I love RF Generation, it's just I got too many things to keep track of it all on. I figure when I have when I've finished it and I feel all right, I'm not gonna, I'm gonna be getting games at a much slower rate. Then I'll go in and put all that stuff in. But when I'm doing the pickup video and I got 50 items, I'm like, oh god, I don't even want to go to put all this crap in. It's gonna take too long. Now,
if the app had subsets, then maybe you'd do it.
Oh,
subset complete.
Hell yeah!
Right.
I don't have very many subsets left, by the way.
I almost text you one night at 2 a.m. with a subset complete, but I didn't. I completed a subset. I was almost I want to text Curtis right now so bad.
It feels good. It feels good. I mean, that was a tip that NES Complex gave a long time ago. Yep. Collecting. Go after subsets.
Time ago.
Okay, little victories, basically.
I remember his 5-part. We had a 5-part series.
It was really good about collecting.
It really is. It's still good. It still kind of holds up, and that's why I heard about his same collector app. I mean, we probably got a lot of the same early tips.
Pretty much, yeah. And then as far as like total games in my collection, I don't have as much as Chris, but let's see, because I'm almost at about 700 for Super Nintendo. And then, I don't know, it kind of peters off after that. I think Game Boy I got about 50, Genesis about 50. I don't know, I'd probably guess somewhere around 900 to 1,000.
Okay. Still way more than me.
Yeah. Well, if I could go back in time, God's honest truth, if I could go back in time, I would not collect a full set of Super Nintendo.
You can still quit.
No, because I'm not a quitter, and I'm so close to being done. I'm like right there. I'm at the finish line.
Now, are you ever gonna like get like a shelf for it or anything?
Yeah, I want to.
You're always gonna.
Eventually, I don't want to live where I'm living now. As much as I love my apartment now, one day
it's a nice apartment,
legitimate game room. And I have started recently doing the universal game case and printing out the litho.
God, that's a slippery slope, man. I'm glad I never did that.
That's fun too.
It looks good, but
it's so fun.
Yeah, but to me it adds to the overhead.
I don't like taking money
because you got to buy the case and the ink.
Yeah, but see, I just look at it as this is my hobby. I spend money on my hobby. I like it. This is fine.
But you could have bought yourself a nice bookcase with all those.
I could also buy a nice bookcase.
Right. Well, I know, you big baller.
Well, hardly that, but still, if you want something for your hobby, it's not like either or. I'll get the bookcase now, and I'll get Universal Game.
And you have your right. All right.
Okay. All right. So on the collection thing, I've already answered this several times. I use a spreadsheet, etc., etc. I don't really have any. I guess.
Are you like Mighty Q Dog, where it's like super intense?
I don't know. I like his. I want to see his spreadsheet, and I want to figure out how to take tips from it, like copy things, because I find his has some better features than mine. But I like the way mine is for what I do, because it's just one big list.
Sure.
So, at the end of my list, I have totals, and basically, as I said before, I'm up about $107. I am keeping about $9,114 worth of stuff. That's literally cost me $107 out of pocket. Yeah, I don't know if anyone cares about any other values or
that's pretty cool though.
It's fun to have a running total. I mean, I don't have values on everything, so that keeping value isn't totally accurate, but it's still cool. And also things drop in price, things go up in price, whatever. Right. All right. Okay. The next section is listener questions. So if you tweet hashtag DD answers, if you want to get any questions answered on the next episode, or you can ask in the Cartridge Club forums under the Dollar Dorks podcast, or even YouTube comments on the YouTube videos. So our first question is from RetroPixel on Twitter. He said, has time required for the business side of hustling for deals and reselling made you question if the hobby's worth getting into?
Hey, Derek, I'm sorry. Yeah. Can you hold on 1 second? Is there a way we can pause? I got a work call. Continue 1 second. Sure. I'm sorry. All right.
I feel like it's going to take longer than a second.
I think it's one Mississippi. Yeah, it's more than a second.
That's like, did you ever listen to Dane Cook?
I've heard him a couple times.
The comedian, where he's got that joke where he's like, I hate when people over-exaggerate things. Like, oh my God, there was this fire downtown tonight, and there was like 1 million firemen there. Really? Was there 1 million firemen there?
I'm trying to picture if I've seen that or not, but I think I have.
Yeah. That's just funny.
Because shortly after that, people started complaining about the use of literally, right? Literally was used for everything.
Right.
Not...
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, man.
All right, I'll see you. So I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave from American Union, or I'm going to come back?
No. You empty out in morning at Washington.
Yeah. I'm at Washington. So I'm going to leave from Washington?
Yes.
Am I going to have paper? Is someone going to give me paperwork? Or?
Yeah, you ask Cambren in the morning.
Okay, I will. Yeah, that makes
Okay,
sense.
so us 43.
43. All right, thanks.
Okay.
All right, work.
Thank you for calling back.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, Jose.
Bye.
Sorry about that, guys.
No worries. Did you hear that question that I asked or not? I'm assuming.
Is it worth it, right?
Yeah, basically, is it worth
It-
the time required? Or have you ever?
Well, I would
have
ask
you ever
that
considered that it
question
isn't? Basically,
I mean, do you like the hunt? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
if you like the hunt, is it worth the time? Yeah, because I totally enjoy the hunt. Do you like making 200 times your money on a dollar buy? I'd love doing that. Or
I love it.
do you like access to people's? Do you like access to people's homes? You know what I mean? I do. So
That's a creepy question.
We're
That could go
going
weird
down
places.
a dark path here.
not really. I mean, I've had people like, "Come on in, look at my shit."
I've had people do that
I mean,
too,
not their
though.
feces.
You ever have
but their
any
stuff.
ladies like you show up and they're like in their like 90s and they're like, "Oh, hi, you're here for the Nintendo games."
I actually had a chick answer the door in like a baby doll 90. She was decent.
And
looking.
now you have
One
two
time.
kids together.
No. I was married and that was not my wife, but I did not go in. I bought the game and I left.
Was she hot?
She was, but I don't remember what I was buying or selling. I might even.
Of course you don't. You were just
Yeah.
too focused on how hot she was. Does that ever happen to you, Chris?
Not the scenario you posed, but I mean, I've been hit on, yeah. But you know,
Yeah,
I mean, you know, I'm dating somebody, so no, of course not. Curtis.
I'm just trying to get you in trouble.
Right? She's gonna listen to this, Curtis. Come on, what the fuck? Has it happened to you?
No, because I never do that.
Oh.
The two deals I've made on Craigslist, one was that guy who was going to brag to his girlfriend that he got a Sentinel toy.
Mhm.
And then I got earthbound from some Asian dude who was like hurrying to catch the bus. And I was like, "You want to ride to the bus?" And he's like, no.
What about mom and pop? Mom never hit you up?
Mom and pop? No.
Right.
no,
You say you
no.
go to mom and pop shops, right? No. All right.
All right. Yeah, I don't know. I've never found. Okay, there are times where I've felt like, oh my god, this takes up too much time, right? Where I'm trying to sell some stuff and it's just not moving. But it's never been enough because I'm getting the stuff for good deals. I know what it's worth. I know it's already got me like $10,000 worth of crap, right? Worth of stuff that I find fun. So no, it's never deterred me enough yet. At some point, I'll probably decide to stop selling. Buying to sell, I should say, really.
Well, the other thing is like I've always enjoyed yard sales and swap meets, even before it was video game related. Like when I was a kid, my dad would go to the swap meet every Sunday. So, or not, maybe not every Sunday, but a lot of Sundays. So I've always enjoyed that kind of activity, and I enjoy getting my stuff for free. And not only that, I mean, to be frank, like this stuff has bought me groceries. I mean, it's paid bills. So it's not all about the flip for me or for reselling just to buy something. I mean, I use it for practical stuff. I mean, it gets me through the month sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do the exact opposite of that. I never take the video game money and use it for everyday stuff. That's funny.
Well, I mean, when you got to
totally
eat, bro,
see.
like,
I use my
when
day
the gas
job.
tank is low.
My day job covers all that.
I got 3 kids and, you know.
I got 2 kids, but yeah. Just a difference.
Well, listen, I'm not trying
approach.
to, maybe you make more, I don't know. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? But I'm just, you know, sometimes I need a little extra and to buy everyday items or school clothes, you know, whatever. You know,
yeah, no, it's not.
Extra expenses happen.
I'm not thinking less of your way of doing
no,
it.
I know that.
It makes me think the exact
yeah.
opposite of anything. Yeah.
Right. No,
I
I totally get what
conscious-
you're saying is you're committed, right? You're committed to every dollar you invest goes back into your hobby. And I really like that. And normally that's how I like to roll. Like if I sell something on eBay, I buy something on eBay or I buy something through Instagram or I'll cash it out and go buy something locally. But
yeah,
you know, then all of a sudden it's like, well, you know, I can knock off $100 off that credit card bill. So, you know what I mean? Like sometimes practical stuff kicks in. It's like, maybe I'll just do that this time.
Yep. Makes sense. Okay, so moving on to sorry.
No, I was like, I like your idea. I should just buy games.
Yeah. You can't always just buy games though. I've held off on it too. Okay, so we got a question from Cartridge Bros, which is P1. It's actually a 3-part question, one question for each of us. So to Chris, how did you know to start selling calculators on eBay?
Well, it's like kind of everything I buy. Like I don't know, sometimes you get to see value when you see it. So the very first time I saw a calculator, I remember, graph calculators being kind of a thing, in college and high school and stuff. And so I looked it up on eBay. I saw it was a thing. In fact, not every graphing calculator is worth something, but I mean, there's $80, $90 calculators and there's $20 calculators. But when you pick something up for a quarter or 50 cents, sometimes it doesn't even matter. You don't even have to look it up. So I guess basically it was just instinct. I mean,
and you took something from your history that you knew had value when you saw it, right? You're like, hey, that was once valuable. I wonder if it still is, right? I'm curious what else you can think of that does that you hadn't thought of already. But I've seen your eBay stuff that you've selling and sold, and you seem to think outside the box already. So I think it would take a lot to surprise you that way.
Yeah, I mean, I'll put it like this: I can walk into any thrift store and anything, and 9 times out of 10, I'll find something that is worth 20 times the value that they're asking, 10 to 20 times the value. Sometimes it ain't worth buying because it doesn't sell that often.
Yeah.
But there's always something. And I mean, I don't want to jump ahead because I have some answers to one of the further questions, but
no worries. Yep.
One of the future questions, but you know what I mean? It's just essentially that's what it comes down to. The calculator thing was just kind of happenstance. I looked it up and I saw it was worth something, so I bought it and sold it.
I haven't sold one yet, but I did see a TI-86 in Goodwill in a bag for $3, and I don't know why I didn't buy it. It wasn't powering on, so I'm like, okay, it probably needs new batteries. But what if it's broken and I just waste $3? So I never took.
Well, right, but okay, I'll give you another tip. When you go out hunting, bring like 4 AA batteries and 4 AAA batteries.
Yeah, I actually did do that a couple times and never used them because it was like I get there and then the thing I'm trying to do was actually a Furby, and it requires a screwdriver to open the damn battery compartment. So that's another thing I gotta bring with me.
Bring a little screwdriver.
Yeah, and right. I also.
But I mean, in
just yesterday, like I put in my car, I put a battery charging pack for cell phones, and a USB cable, micro USB cable. Yeah. So I'm starting to gear up my car with that kind of stuff now.
Yeah, I mean like remotes. Sometimes when you put batteries in it, like I'll sell TV remotes, and people think, oh, what are they worth? Well, I mean, I've sold one for $175. So there's remotes that are worth something. The remote to my television's worth $350.
Crazy.
I just haven't found it yet. But I mean, there's some expensive remotes out there. I mean, but like I'm not afraid of buying items that only sell for $20. I love it. Quick sellers, man. I mean,
for me, it all depends on what I put into it, right? If I'm buying it at a Value Village, I gotta pay like $6 for it or something like that.
All right,
so 20 out of it's not really worth it, but
well, is a $10 profit not? I mean, to me, I don't know. It just depends. How many items did you buy that day? If it's okay, if you drove all the way there for that $10, it's probably not worth it.
Yeah, but I'm already there looking for other deals, so it's
sure.
Not the drive.
No, I get it. I get
it's more of the selling.
But I'm just saying, like.
Shipping it and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't know how hot the Canadian market is for certain items too. So I know in
eBay
States
is not crazy here because shipping's high and we're all spread out and there's less population here. So
yeah. No, I get that. So you're kind of limited too. Like I got a bigger market for sure.
Yeah. Right. I understand. So Curtis, this question is for you, also from P1. What comes after Nintendo Power is complete?
Well, I mean, hopefully Super Nintendo will have either been completed or not too far behind Nintendo Power. But after that, after those two, Layla and I have been dipping our toes into collecting Game & Watches. And so...
It's not cheap.
Not at all. But there's only like 80 of them, so it's,
There's
relatively...
80?
It's something like that. So it's a
God,
relatively
those are
smaller
12.
set. No. There's like 80 of them.
Okay.
But I think those things are so cool. And finding those in the wild is next to impossible. But when you do stumble across one, it feels like, Indiana Jones finding the idol. You're like, how do I get out of this store without a giant boulder chasing me?
That's crazy. I didn't realize there's that many, and I've never seen one in the wild. I've only seen resellers with them.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we only have like 6 or 7 of them right now, but still, those are fun, neat little pieces of history.
That's cool. All right, next question is to me from P1. When can I be a guest? Well, the answer is I plan on eventually just doing an episode that is geared towards people who are more of buyers. I was thinking about doing that at some point. I just need to change every single question in here to be focused towards just people who are buyers and maybe try and get the buyer point of view, especially from buyers that go to game swaps that would benefit people who are sellers to know what they think, right? So that's the answer to that. Whenever the hell I actually get off my ass and write an outline for that. So next question is from Chris Roberts to Curtis. Do you even eBay, bro?
You couldn't just ask me on here?
I was even skipping.
Well, do you?
Earlier you don't, but
Well, okay, I answered this earlier. I do for Nintendo Power and Star Trek action figures. That's it.
all
I
right.
wanted to collect the whole next generation bridge crew, and so I have them all now. So now it's just Nintendo
Now, what if
Power.
his question was referring to selling?
Well, it doesn't say that. I'm going to interpret it however I like, because it just says, do you even eBay, bro?
All right. So next question is from Mighty Q Dog. I'll expand on P1's question a bit more, and he says, besides video games, what else do you like to grab on the cheap for an easy flip? I think that's referring mainly to his first question. Yeah, to Chris. So what else do you like to grab and flip? Easy flip.
Okay, easy flip, micro cassette recorders. I know someone else did. I think you might have mentioned that.
Let's see on the next.
I was looking
next
in the
question.
rundown, but
yeah.
okay. Well, then I'll skip that.
No,
Cameras
go
and
ahead, go
lenses.
ahead. I only wrote those
Well,
questions
okay.
if we had Noah questions come in. So
Okay, well, micro cassette players. Okay, as more specifically Sony and Olympic. At swap meets for $5 or less, and I will buy as many as they have, and I will sell them as on the low end $25, on the high end $60, and I will sell them instantly. I bought them and sold them before I even left the swap meet. I'll list them up right there on the seller's table. I mean, they sell quick, right? And they come with, a lot of times they have the cassette in. A lot of times they come with batteries. They're already ready to go, and people will be like, why do they buy them? I don't know. I speculate it must be college students. Maybe they can't use their phones in class, but they have to use the little micro cassette recorders. Maybe it's instructors. Maybe it's doctors, or maybe it's lawyers. I don't know, but there's a market for them. And you would think, well, why don't they go with the digital ones? I don't know. But the cassette ones are popular, and they sell fast. Another one is Canon cameras and lenses. You would think that's an obvious one, but man, I pick them up, $5, $3. I got a whole bag of cameras for $20. I made like $500 off that bag. I bought a lens at a yard at an estate sale for like $30, and I sold it for $600. This is what actually bought my Dinosaur Peak.
Are you able to test those? Like, you have a camera you're testing them with and that kind of stuff?
Well, as far as the lens go, you can just look through it. I mean, usually
if it's
when
like
you buy a
on
lens,
an electric zoom, for example, like, I don't know.
I'm talking more old school
Okay.
stuff, man. I'm talking like 80s and 70s and 80s. That stuff is really hot, man. Like it just is. It never lasts long. Just the bodies on the camera bodies alone, I usually get like 110, and they sell fast. I've never had one that's been on eBay more than a few days. And like sometimes I'll get a lens that'll go slow, but they always sell. Like I have one right now out of that whole bundle. I sold everything but one lens, and it's probably just because it's the brand. But at some point it'll sell. We already went over the calculators, and the last thing I'll go into is Starbucks mugs. I hate even to say it because I feel like it's my little secret, but Starbucks mugs, and more specifically the Starbucks mugs with the cities on them, because they had like, it's a line, I forget like the official name of it, the line, but he had a, in some states, some of our states, some of us actually countries, but you know, like Chicago or Alaska or whatever, right? Well, the first time I was tipped off to it, I went to this yard sale and the lady had a bunch of Starbucks stuff. And I looked at it, I'm like, well, I mean, shit, everything's collectible. So I looked up one of the mugs, and it was like a $40 mug, and she had like a quarter on it. So I was like, man, I just bought them all. I didn't even look them up anymore at that point. I just scooped them up. And so I sold them all that day. I mean, the cheaper one was like $11 plus shipping. But the big, you know, the money one was like $50 plus shipping, right? So I sold them all like quickly. And then I sat there and I thought about it, and I was like, wait a minute. And her mom went to Alaska years ago, and she brought me back a mug from Alaska. So I thought, man, what the hell is that worth? And so I looked that up, and it was like $150. So I was like, man, I never even used this thing. So I put that up and sold it. So I've always been on the lookout for Starbucks mugs. And you know, what's funny is once you start to look for something, like they just seem to, like for me anyway, it just starts to pop up. I went to a citywide sale at the coast, like Pismo Beach, right? Or not Pismo Beach, Morro Bay. They have like this citywide block sale, yard sale, whatever, and everybody's selling their stuff. Man, I walked up with this lady, and man, they were perfect mint condition, a whole box of them for $0.25 a piece. I just picked up the whole box for like $4. Man, I sold them all. I actually sold one to, you know, Vintage. He kind of like, I sold it to him at cost. And it's like, well, not at cost, was like $10 or whatever. Basically, he just covered the shipping. I've guilted me into it. But he wanted one of the higher end ones. I'm like, nah, bro. Sorry. That one's going on eBay unless you want to pay me like $60. But yeah, I'm going to have to sell this one. But yeah, so Starbucks mugs, man. I mean, not every mug is worth something, but you know, if they got the city on it, it's like a city with a little logo of the city behind it, like, you know, like Seattle. Like there's some that are really common, like Seattle, but there's other ones like, man, if you get some from overseas, I've seen them like $2,000. So like the more oddball the place is, I would just buy it, like whatever they asking, you know. I mean, because they're not gonna ask much. It's a coffee mug, you know what I mean? And even if they have chips on them, like it don't. I mean, as long as they're not like busted up, they'll sell. And, you know, just make sure, obviously, if they have chips and stuff like that, you do a good job of detailing that in your ad so they don't come back on you. But I had a lady who bought one overseas, right?
Okay.
The eBay shipping program. So once eBay gets it in Kentucky, you're basically out of the loop. Once they've reshipped it, it doesn't matter what happens on that other end. But she messaged me saying, like, she got it was broken. And I kind of felt bad, but I didn't, like, I just kind of wanted to see where she was going with it. So I was like, well, I'm really sorry that happened. And I didn't say any more. Her reply was, we don't care. We glued it. We're just happy we got it. Thank you so much. And I was just like, oh, you're welcome.
That's funny. So that Scavenger Life podcast I listen to, they talk about the global shipping program, and basically it's off. It's not your responsibility. They're all insured. So if you just tell the person to make a complaint with the global shipping program, then yeah.
Actually, that is kind of what I did after she told me, because I was trying to avoid. Well, the feedback they can leave it, but eBay will take it off for you. That's where that number comes into play. If you ever get bad feedback that you feel isn't just, you call them, they'll take it off instantly. But yeah, I was thinking she was going to try to like extort me, so I was kind of like letting her get there, because sometimes people. That's another tip. If they say anything to do with feedback. Yeah, that's considered extortion.
Feedback extortion,
and they will, right? eBay will shut it down quick. So, like, don't try to lead them into it. But if they go down that route, let them say it. Anyway, I thought maybe that's where she was headed, but she was just really grateful. So then I told her, well, you know, if you contact eBay, they'll refund you. She's like, nah, we don't even care. We're just glad we got the mug. I'm like, all right, well, whatever.
Crazy.
So
you got me looking at eBay for A&W mugs now. because I've seen a couple at garage sales, but they're not a great value.
No, but man, I'm telling you, those Starbucks mugs. Like, I don't even like to say it. I'll probably regret it because now people will fuck up the market and start lowballing each other when they get them. But man, like, people are so short-sighted sometimes. They'll buy something and list it on eBay, and then they're trying to, like, undercut everybody. But then they do it for, like, an unreasonable undercut. Like, man, I get it. Go under a penny, go under a nickel, maybe even $1. But, man, you start going like, oh, I'll just sell it for $5 less. Well, then it's the race to the bottom. Match you or beat you. It's like, just match the price. You know what I mean? Let your feedback do the talk. If you got good feedback, hell, I'd even go ahead of the price. Set the market. You know, I mean, this sounds like the greedy reseller aspect, but I mean, I'm not necessarily even talking about games. I'm just saying items in general.
Yeah, I've thought about that before, and I've gone below by like $3 to $4, even $5 before, and I feel like, am I screwing over the market because I'm making the game worth less? But yeah.
Well, next time you get that game, guess what? You might have created a free fall. Now there might be a collector. Now we're talking about games. There might be a collector out there who's like loving you, because I was doing that initially too when I was trying to build up feedback.
Well, that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to just give people deals and let it sell quick too, right?
Right. There's that too. I got no problem with that. But then when you pay your 10% to eBay and your 2.5% to PayPal, and if you did free shipping, you throw that in. I mean, now next thing you know,
2.5% to PayPal would be nice. Ours is higher.
2.5%. 10% to eBay. Starts adding up.
Yeah. All right. Okay. I had a question for you here. I think this is probably going to go long too, but I need to ask.
Sorry.
I need to ask. Why do you want to have stacks of NESs and Game Boys?
I'll give you a short answer. I think it looks cool.
Okay.
I have a question as well. What are you going to do with all those Mario Brothers duck hunts?
That was another one, yeah.
I find them cheap, and I don't know. Like, at some point, all right, I'll give you the long in the end game. Some point, speculate these games that I'm picking up for $1, or they're in lots, so they didn't cost me anything. At some point, these Mario duck hunts, they're gonna start being selling for like $20-$30. Now you can laugh, but they're already at 15.
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
So they're all, and I don't care if it's a long game. 3 years from now, I'll have 500 Mario duck hunts that are going for $30 a piece. Do the math. You know what I mean?
But then are you worried about flooding at that time?
Stop trying to make me do math on this podcast, Chris.
I won't have to flood the market. I'll just put them up one at a time. I don't care. It's money in the bank. I don't care if I sell one a day or one every 2 days or what. I'm not going to see. Here's another thing I don't like what eBay sellers do. They'll put up, let's say they have 30 of the same item.
Yeah, they put up 30.
Personally, I won't do that where it says I have 30 items, because then nobody has that sense of desperation. I'll just keep relisting the item. I'll sell one and then I'll relist it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, he's got 30 of them. I'll just come back next month. All you gotta do is hit the button that says
30
relist.
separate listings for it.
I don't like that. That to me, that's then all you're doing is making more listings. I don't know. That we're talking personal preference there. Right? There might be a dude out there who's crunching numbers, and
that bothers me because of viewing them. Like when I'm looking at, like, say I'm searching for freaking batteries for some stupid remote control or something like that. I'm just like, I don't need 15 listings of the same guy. Yeah, exactly. Right. Makes it hard to find.
Exactly. So I like to be consumer friendly. Buy one. When it sells, I'll relist it. And the other benefit of relisting it, now you're kicking it into the new item, newly listed category. Yep. Search for newly listed items.
The only downside is there's a bit of time where there isn't one. That's the only downside. There's a time where it's sold and there's not one listed from you. That's the only downside.
Oh, yeah, but I'm pretty quick.
That's
unless it happens when I'm sleeping.
Yeah.
I mean, if it happens when I'm sleeping, whatever, 3 hours, 4 hours. I mean, I could
3 hours.
You know what I mean? Whatever. I'll deal with it when I wake up, and I'll just relist it in the morning. I mean, I don't know. To me, I like it better that way.
Yeah, I haven't had any.
Why do I have it? Maybe
several of so.
All right, and I'll tell you another thing why I have a stack of Nintendos. I'll give you one. Well, it's kind of a one-word answer. Cheat them in two. Okay. And you're like, what does that have to do with a stack of Nintendos? Because I traded a stack of one. Well, it's one whole compound. All right. Well, two is a number, so it's really not a word because it actually has the number. Anyway, I traded a stack of 12 Nintendos for a Cheetahman 2. Okay, it's a very rare game.
Yeah.
The reseller needed Nintendos. He had a game I needed. We worked out a deal. Had I not,
if you went to a store,
had I not had a, no, it was a reseller locally. Well, technically it's a store, yeah, but we worked out. I mean, it worked out for both of us. He made because he sells them high end. I mean, he sells them for like $150.
Jesus,
because he's a salesman and people buy it. I mean, he has a different kind of clientele coming to him. He has people who aren't very internet savvy. They come to him like, wow, I remember this, and they buy it and they don't care. They got money and they just pay for it. So he made more than he would have made at the time. The cart was probably about an $800 cart. I don't know, $1,300. Well, probably $1,500 off the Nintendos. Plus selling the Nintendo, now you need a game. He's got games. So, I mean, it could have been like $3,000 in sales for him. But I got a game that, there's less than 1,000 copies made. And how many were left? I don't know. But I got one of them.
Yep.
Big bait. And when you go into your collection aspect of it, or how you're talking about your grand total or how much it costs you, there's not a Nintendo on that shelf that I'm in a penny for. Because they all come in lots.
Yeah, and you sell something else to pay for it.
And I sell off the other crap, and the Nintendo's free. So it's just money in the bank. So one day, if I need some money, I got a $100 item sitting there.
Gotcha. No, it makes sense. I was just curious.
Right. But I do like the way it looks.
It does look cool, yeah.
I like the way it looks. So, I mean, that's the number one reason.
Right. So our next section is suggested content. Anything you want to suggest that the listeners checking out, YouTube videos, channels, podcasts, or games, etc. We'll start off with Curtis.
Nope. Pass.
You can think about it if you want to bring something up later. But anyway, so next is me, Derek. Lazy Game Reviews. I say go check out Lazy Game Reviews. He's got videos on old PC hardware and old games, and he does thrifting, and he's just entertaining in general. Well-spoken. I like his videos. I need to watch them more. I keep forgetting to. That's it. Lazy Game Reviews on YouTube. Chris? You got anybody?
Check out the channel GirlfriendVS.
I hate you.
It's a great channel, even though he doesn't put up as much content as he used to, but he's got a good archive.
That's true. A lot of good stuff.
Always me.
I'll be honest, a lot of
okay, I got
a
recommendation. I think you guys should go check out the Narc podcast. We're all really excited for episode 2 of Narc Party.
I hate that. You know what? Let me be honest with you.
Should be coming soon.
I hate the name. I hate it.
With what? Narc Party?
It's so stupid. Rip will probably never listen to this podcast, so I'm totally all right with saying, I'll tell him to his face. I don't care. For whatever reason, one day he woke up and he decided, let's change the format. I got to just call it Narc Party. And I don't know how John truly feels about it because, But I'm just and I think it might have been, was it you who was on there and you take all the good stuff that everybody liked and get rid of it? I think you said that. Was that your line? I don't know. One of the guests on the Narc, I think it was you, but.
Well, it was just me or Vintage, right?
I don't think Vintage was that quick,
I'm sorry,
to be honest.
Can we say his name on this podcast?
You're allowed.
I promised him I wouldn't anymore, so I'm going to stick with Vintage. So, anyway, yeah, I don't like the name, so.
All right.
I refuse to acknowledge it.
Well, I don't think we have anything to worry about because it's episode 2 right around the corner.
Well, we were supposed to record this month, so I guess we'll find out.
Oh, snap. Very exciting.
Yeah.
You heard it here first on Dollar Dorks.
That's all right. It'll probably be done by the time this gets released. We're recording pretty early this month, but that's fine. Okay. The next section, plugs. So we're gonna plug our guests. First, we got Curtis Friesel on Twitter and the host of CC Portable. on the Cartridge Club podcast feed. Go check out Curtis.
And I really like your podcast, Curtis. I ain't just saying it because you're my friend. I really like it.
Thanks, man. We try to.
I think it's I think it's really good. I like your pacing. I like the guests you've had on. It's really good.
I love the spin on the 2-word review instead of 3-word.
Yep,
making it easy for everyone.
I like the poll. The poll's really good.
Polls are fun. I like doing the polls too.
I'm totally taking that out of context.
You know what? I'm really glad we're not on Fandango.
I know.
I'm glad we're not on Fandango because both of those would become sound clips.
I sent him most of the sound clips. Okay, so next is Chris. On Twitter, he's CWR2 and Instagram also CWR2.
That's the number 2.
Yeah, the number 2. Sorry,
number 2. I always have to throw that.
Yeah,
I never thought about it when I made it because it's actually my poker ID from Poker Stars. But when I went on Twitter, I just used the same one, and then I figured, well, it's so people would recognize. Then when I started saying it, I was like, well, is it TO? Is it TOO? Is it TWO? Yeah. So I always say number 2, and then it sounds stupid because it's like I'm saying shit.
It's funny because my own YouTube channel is Two Dorks, and it took me a while to realize that nobody understood whether it was the number 2 or TWO, and it's TWO.
Right. Now there is a second dork, correct?
Yes, Tony, my brother-in-law, but he's not so much into doing videos anymore, so we haven't really been doing videos.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I when I listened to the last episode, I wasn't sure if one of them was the I know one of them was I'm forgetting his name and I feel like a dick, but one of the guests I know from Twitter.
Rocket Sauce?
Rocket Sauce, yeah. Yes. One of them, and the other one, I don't know. I must have missed the name because I was listening at work, so I was like, oh, that must be the other host. But I guess you had 2 guests then, right?
Yeah. I always do 2 guests. Yeah. So the Dollar Dorks is just me. Tony's never been, probably never will. I don't think he has the interest in podcasts.
Oh. So then the Dollar Dorks are you and your guest, then, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So that's the gist of it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So we're dorks right now. Okay.
We are.
I'm good with that. Well,
based on what we've been talking about for the last 2.5 hours, we're dorks. And we're proud.
Yeah.
All right. So last plug is Cartridge Club, cartridgeclub.org, a community of gamers, collectors, content creators, and friends. That's the Cartridge Club. Go check it out if you'd like to, or don't. We don't care. Okay. Thank you guys for
good site.
Yeah. Thank you for being on the show, guys.
Thanks for having us. We're going to go do some more math right now and talk about how Chris and I like each other so much.
Sounds good. And thank you for listening, everybody. Cha-ching. Our friend Curtis is good at a lot of things. One thing he's not good at, recording video games.